better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To not look the other way.
It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Hey, Free Speech TV world, it's Mama and the Mooks here at the Stephanie Miller Show.
Hello.
Good morning.
You know, the Seinfeld was about nothing. I think the Stephanie Miller Show is about everything.
A little bit
it?
everything.
Yeah, a little
It's
bit.
kind of everything like thrown into a blender and we hit frappe.
Right.
With wine poured in.
Right. Senators, fart jokes, politics, pop culture, entertainment.
Drinking.
Drinking, random stray thoughts. It's what all the hip kids are talking about.
Yep.
We have the smartest, funniest people in the country on this show, do we not?
We absolutely do.
Right?
Our sexy liberal army of callers calling every day to tell us all about it.
There you go. And some right-wingers that Travis particularly enjoys talking to.
They're my favorites.
Okay. You can watch us every weekday from 9 to noon Eastern or 6 to 9 Pacific, which is really early. But we still, we try to, we're still pulling in people like Rob Reiner, Lily Tomlin, Frangela, you name it. You can only get it here at the Stephanie Miller Show. Mama, Mooks, fancy celebrities.
And everything.
And fart jokes.
Free Speech TV.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Hey, friends and neighbors, what do you say? Good morning. Great to see you this morning. This is The Bill Press Show. We're coming to you live from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., bringing you up to date on all the news of the day, whether it's happening here in our nation's capital, around the country, around the globe. Coming to you live on your local progressive talk radio station, on Free Speech TV, and worldwide on our video stream, TawkrTV. Events in the nation's capital. Hi, everybody. It's Bill Press. This year marks the 10th anniversary of doing the Bill Press Show. Every day, covering the news of the day with the nation's top newsmakers, either on the line or in our studio right here on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. Not only that, I go to the White House briefings every day to get answers to the top questions of the day. Bottom line, if it's happening in Washington, D.C., either at the White House or the Capitol, we are all over it. Every day, we welcome to our studio political leaders and reporters and labor leaders and newsmakers to help us understand the issues of the day. You know, we started out as a radio show only, but over the years, we have branched out to all forms of the new media. So today, We're not just a radio show. We are podcasting, streaming audio, streaming video, and we are simulcast live on Free Speech TV nationwide. Reaching out to 40 million households on Free Speech TV, in addition to hundreds of thousands on local radio stations and online.
AFGE is so proud to be associated with this show and looks forward to being working with Bill and this show for a long time.
Bill Press is the right man at the right time with the right message.
And thanks to the Bill Press Show, we get our message out to thousands and thousands of people every day. Thank you, Bill Press.
The Teamsters are a proud partner with Bill Press on his show, telling the truth about what's going on with working families. Tune in.
Yes, it's been a fun and exciting 10 years so far for the Bill Press Show. We're looking forward to many more with all of you, broadcasting live every morning from the nation's capital.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where that ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get Fire Adapted now at fireadapted.org.
Columbine.
Virginia Tech.
Tucson.
Aurora.
Fort Hood. Oak Creek. Newtown.
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 How many more?
How many more? How many more colleges? How many more classrooms?
How many more movie theaters?
How many more houses of faith?
How many more shopping malls?
How many more street corners?
How many more?
How many more?
Enough.
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 Demand a plan.
Right now. As a mom.
As a dad. As a friend. As a husband.
As a wife.
As an American.
As an American.
As an American.
As a human being.
For the children of Sandy Hook.
Demand a plan. No more lists of names. It's not too soon.
It's too late.
Now is the time.
Before we all know someone who loved someone on that list.
No more lists.
No more.
Who they might have been. No more.
If we had just done something yesterday. It's time.
We can do better than this.
We can do better than this.
It's time.
It's time.
It's time for our leaders to act.
Demand a plan. Right now.
Right now.
You! Demand it!
Enough.
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 You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
Are you still awake after the debate? Well, I got to say, Bernie had a good night. Hillary had a great night. Democratic Party had a fabulous night. Hello, everybody. What do you say? Great to see you Wednesday October 14. Here we go with the Bill Press Show on our wrap-up of the big debate last night. First Democratic debate for 2016 from the Wynn Casino. That's a funny place, by the way, to hold a Democratic debate. At the Wynn Casino in Las Vegas, where Bernie was talking about casino capitalism. That's kind of what it was. I read this morning that one Clinton donor was heard going into the ballroom saying he had won $25,000 at the craps table just before the debate. So the high rollers were there. Wow. At any rate, it was quite a show. I know you were watching it, at least some of it. And we've got to pull it all together today as to who did well on what topics and where we go from here. Great to see you today. 866-55-PRESS is the toll-free number, of course. Just get your calls in right now. Get in line, 866-55-PRESS. Or send us your comments on Twitter and on Facebook. On Twitter, at BP Show, and Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Peter Ogburn and Jamie Benson. We were all helping CNN get boost the ratings last night.
That's right. We survived.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We've got that post-debate day hangover thing going on here in the studio.
I got adrenaline. I'm still going.
Really?
Are you really?
No. Yeah. Well, you stayed up all night probably. The alcohol.
He just got back from Vegas.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. Exactly.
Ray Rogers is here, ready for those calls at 866-55-PRESS. Keep her busy today. We want to know what you thought about Bernie's performance, Hillary's performance. Martin O'Malley, did he make it? Jim Webb, Lincoln Chafee, were they there? And Cyprian Bolding. There was one video event. Cyprian did not work last night, I think. And now, if it had been a fight in Las Vegas, right?
He'd have been there.
Or a ball game, he would have been there, right? Yeah. But at any rate, he's here as our videographer today. I got to say, so I think overall, the debate, first of all, I hate the fact that debates now have become like mud fights, free-for-all, right? That's what they want. Fox did it. CNN did it. First time CNN did it again last night. They want the candidates to just attack each other. So every question is an attack question. Or either about to get them to attack one another or to really challenge them on something they may have done 30 years ago, right? I mean, I remember the debates when, like, Peter Jennings or even Dan Rather, or Bob Schieffer, I mean, they would ask substantive questions, and they would press the candidates on the issues, but it wasn't this personal attack kind of thing, which I find offensive.
There's also, I think that
Anderson Cooper was out of line last night.
I think they toned it down some last night compared to what they did with the Republicans. But one of the things that they did that I didn't like is when they'd ask one person a question, they would immediately turn and direct your response to that is right, like trying to set up a little fight.
I have to tell you, you'll never. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I miss Newt Gingrich in this sense. 4 years ago, when the reporters tried to get that way, Newt Gingrich just remember.
Yeah, I do.
He attacked them.
Yeah,
he went after John King. The first question, and he cowed John King and he basically said, "Look, we're not going to have this kind of debate. You're not going to ask those kind of questions. We're going to deal with substantive issues." Somebody should have done that last night, I thought, and just put Anderson in his place.
Yeah.
Bernie did a little bit on the email thing, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
But I must say, I tuned in at 8:30, confident that they were going to, just sure that they were going to waste a half an hour. They didn't. They wasted about 10 minutes maybe, but they started the debate a little earlier than I thought. About 8:45 is when they got started.
Well, they let them have their 2-minute opening statement,
right?
And then the actual question part of the debate started at 9. But
the opening statements are part of it. So that they surprised me on that. But it also, they drag on too long. I mean, you just don't have to go. You just have, and the proof is too long. When Hillary has to talk about how long it takes her to pee, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. If they had stopped the debate earlier, they wouldn't have had to break so everybody could pee. You know? I mean, I didn't need to hear that girls take longer to pee than boys. That's why they need more. I mean, come on. No. All right. TMI.
Yeah.
Right, you got it. How we doing on FanDuel, team?
FanDuel. All right, so we did a quick update from this past weekend because, as we discussed, Cyprian was traveling. Jamie didn't get a chance to play. So the only two people, some people play to win. Some people,
some people
they don't take it seriously. Ray and I were the only two from Team Press who were playing, but it was completely filled up with listeners and viewers. So, yet again, our listeners and viewers kicked our butts. When we last spoke, Ray...
Did either of you make any money?
No.
Oh, my God.
Ray was in last place before Monday night's football game, and she had a monster Monday night.
Was it? Okay. All right.
She had a monster Monday night game. And so she went from dead last all the way up to 10th.
Oh.
She ended up in 10th, and I ended up in 13th. So,
all right. Yeah, this is the week you were going to win. All right, so we're back at it again. We got another team. We challenge you again for this week.
Bring it on.
And it's, yes, indeed, FanDuel.com/BillPress. Join the Bill Press League and take on Peter and Jamie and Ray and Cyprian. And, boy, I got to tell you, if you haven't figured it out yet, then you're kind of slow because it looks like any of you can beat any of us. So this is... I'm starting to lose confidence in my team here. This is a great opportunity for all of you out there listening or watching to make money on FanDuel if you're a part of the Bill Press League.
It was
that way to me.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong, Tim.
Yeah.
But starting to lose a little confidence.
It's a lot of fun. You really should get in on it. Look. I play because I like playing, right? I don't have to win. It doesn't matter to me whether or not I win or lose. It's just so much fun.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah, that's the biggest BS going. Doesn't matter whether you win or lose.
I do it because I love the game,
how you
Bill.
play the game.
I love it because I have fun playing the game. I love it, okay?
Yeah.
Winning is just, it doesn't matter to me.
All right. We got lots going on. We're going to see the debate and get what you think about who really did well last night, who should not even have been on stage. But first...
This is the Full Court Press.
Yes, indeed. Just a couple of other stories making news. What a lead up to the Democratic debate last night as the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs were playing at Wrigley Field last night, and the Chicago Cubs...
Did they ever?
They beat the Cardinals 6-4. They win that National League Division Series. 6-4 was the final score. I got to tell you, it's the first time Wrigley Field has seen the Cubs win a playoff series ever. The times that they've done it before, it's been on other players. That stadium on TV last night was rocking and rolling. It was unbelievable. And it led right up to about 8 o'clock, so we could switch over to a little debate stuff. But congratulations to our friends WCPT in Chicago.
The Cubbies, yes,
Cubbies.
Chicago, great day.
They are going to go on to take on either the Dodgers or the Mets, who played last night, and the Dodgers beat the Mets yesterday at home 3-1. So that series is tied up 2-2. They'll go back to L.A. for a deciding Game 5. Winner of that game will go on to take on again either the we'll go on to take the Cubs. And that game happens tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow.
And I'm rooting against the Dodgers simply because of Chase Utley.
Oh, absolutely.
That's it.
Well, I'm rooting against the Dodgers because Dodgers are terrible. I hate the Dodgers organization. But Chase Utley alone is enough to make you root for the Mets. And as a Nationals fan, it's a big step.
I'm rooting for the Cubs. Even though I used to be a Dodgers fan, but I'm rooting for the Cubs.
LinkedIn will soon adopt a brand new policy. It is their vacation policy that will give you no limit on how many days you can take off. Unlimited vacation for if you're an employee of LinkedIn. Now, they've already had a pretty loose vacation schedule, but here's their plan. You can have unlimited vacation plus 17 paid holidays. So you get 17 days.
So there's got to be there's a but here.
There's no but. There's no but. They just say, look, you have your workload. You have to get your workload done. And if you get your workload done and you put in 2 weeks that you want to take your time off, you don't necessarily get paid for all of that time off, right? If you take off more than the time that they allowed. But yeah, effective beginning next month, unlimited vacation.
But the but is you have to do your job.
Yeah, I mean, there is that.
Yeah.
There is that. And this is a scary story. FBI data, which takes a look at background checks and how many people are buying guns, shows that the month of September, we set another record for gun sales here in America. Yes, indeed. The number of background checks done is considered to be the most reliable sort of gauge of total gun sales. They were up more than 20% from the previous year, from the previous September high. That was set in 2012. So we have shattered gun sales in September. This, according to the National Instant Criminal Background Check System, which is what the FBI uses.
Yeah, not something to brag about. All right. Thank you, Peter. Yes, indeed. We settled in for the long night last night. And I got to tell you, I think overall it was a very entertaining debate. As I mentioned at the very, very top, I thought Bernie Sanders had a good night. I thought Hillary Clinton had a great night. And I thought the Democratic Party had a fabulous night. The Democratic Party, fabulous night because it showed that the Democratic Party has serious candidates who know a lot about serious issues and are willing to get out and fight there for some serious answers to serious issues and fight for the middle class, as opposed to that bunch of clowns that we saw on stage at the two Republican debates. It was really, I think, a two-person show last night between Bernie and Hillary. Link Chafee and Jim Webb, an embarrassment. They should not even have been on stage. And you have to say, if they put those two people on stage, then why not Lawrence Lessig, right?
You cannot make an argument as to why Link Chafee deserved to be up there and Lawrence Lessig didn't.
No. So let's forget them. Martin O'Malley, God bless him. You know, he did,
God bless his heart.
God bless his heart. He did a good job. We said yesterday, he's a credible guy. He's a serious guy. He really tried hard. And I just don't think there was just no way almost he could do enough. And Hillary showed, I got to say, in terms of between the two of them, Hillary had a bet, I believe, and you know me, I'm a big Bernie fan, big Hillary fan too. But she showed her experience. She showed the fact she's been a candidate before. She has been a debater of presidential debates, like 26 of them the last time. So she was polished. She was poised. She was tough when she had to be. She was funny and humorous when she had to be. She was light. She smiled. I thought she had a great night, and she was good on the issues, and she had some help on the issues. Bernie Sanders certainly helped her a lot on the emails, and I thought Anderson Cooper helped her by running away from the Benghazi question. She didn't get hammered on Benghazi the way that we thought that she might. Bernie was Bernie. That's why we love him. Bernie was Bernie. He was gruff. He looked a little befuddled at times. He was passionate, more passion than anybody on stage. I mean, he didn't talk. He just rah, you know. And I was amazed that he was able to get his hour-long stump speech about the billionaire class down to 90 seconds.
It was pretty impressive.
He had it down. They went boom, 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 and I thought he more than held his own. He didn't have a good answer on guns, I don't think, and he wasn't clear on Syria and the quagmire and what to do about the Russians, but he's very strong on the Iraq War, very strong on the economy, on the billionaire class, and I thought it was great of him to say what he said about the Hillary emails, because damn it, we're all tired of hearing about the damn emails.
There's a great thing in the Washington Post this morning that takes a look at what people were searching for during the debates. Right?
Yeah,
and when Bernie Sanders. Before they started the actual back and forth, they got to make their little statement right up front, the 2 or 3 minute thing. Bernie came on, and a lot of people thought that it was a little too shouty for the opening comments, but it was a lot of people. It was their first exposure to Bernie Sanders, right? So that was the highest. People searched for Bernie Sanders. That was the highest moment that people were searching for anything. They were searching for Bernie Sanders during his intro.
Really?
That just set people were like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Yeah,
because. Not a lot of people know Bernie.
Right. So again, the questions, your reaction. You saw them all. What do you think? Who won? Who lost? But overall, what did we learn? And where do we go from here? Did it make any difference in the standing down the road? I think down the road, it's going to be Hillary and Bernie. Hillary and Bernie all the way, unless, of course, Joe jumps in. Let's hear some of the sound when we come back and your calls at 866-55-PRESS. The big debate.
Like politics? Then like The Bill Press Show on Facebook. This is The Bill Press Show.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To
not look the other way.
It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay, so who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, Free Speech TV world, it's Mama and the Mooks here at the Stephanie Miller Show.
Hello. Good morning.
You know, Seinfeld was about nothing. I think the Stephanie Miller Show is about everything.
A little bit everything.
Yeah, a little
It's
bit.
kind of everything like thrown into a blender and we hit frappe.
Right.
With wine poured in.
Right. Senators, fart jokes, politics, pop culture, entertainment.
Drinking.
Drinking, random stray thoughts. It's what all the hip kids are talking about.
Yep.
We have the smartest, funniest people in the country on this show, do we not?
We absolutely do.
Right?
And our sexy liberal army of callers call in every day to tell us all about it.
There you go. And some right-wingers that Travis particularly enjoys talking to.
They're my favorites.
Okay. You can watch us every weekday from 9 to noon Eastern or 6 to 9 Pacific, which is really early. But we still, we try to, we're still pulling in people like Rob Reiner, Lily Tomlin, Frangela, you name it. You can only get it here at the Stephanie Miller Show. Mama, Mooks, fancy celebrities.
And everything.
And fart jokes.
Free Speech TV.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
I think the secretary is right.
And that is that the American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Me too.
This is the Bill Press Show.
That was the line of the night, no doubt about it.
Easily the line of the night.
The one standing ovation of the evening. Marty, we're sick, and we are sick and tired of hearing about the damn emails. All right, calls 866-55-PRESS first. Comments, Peter.
We're on Twitter at BP Show, at BP Show. Margaret Colvin weighing in just to point out the best line of the night easily was Bernie saying, "We are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails."
Just heard it, yes.
NC Nomad says, "Bill, why would you say Bernie had a good night and Hillary had a great night? He was the clear winner." Just a comment there on Twitter. And also Phil says, Biden should have been there if he thought he had a chance. His window now seems closed a little bit more because Hillary had such a good night.
Interesting, a very interesting comment. I thought it was curious that there was not one question about Joe Biden. I don't think his name was ever mentioned. I thought for sure they would say, "Where's Joe? What do you think about Joe? What if Joe gets in? What would Joe do?" There was no mention of him at all last night. Let's go out to Cubby's land, to Chicago.
Go Cubbies.
Hey, Sherry, how are you?
Oh, good morning, everyone. All I have to say is go Washington Senators.
Don't rub it in here, Sherry.
Go Cubs. Go Cubs. Okay. Real quick, Republicans take note. Last night's debate was awesome. I agree with you 100%, Bill. Hillary was awesome. She was precise. What she said about making a mistake, she finally owned up to. She's going to have to do that repeatedly.
Mm-hmm.
And my man, Bernie, made a couple of stumbles, but he was awesome also.
Yeah.
But what was funny to me and not so funny is the representative who was asked about a bill he voted on and didn't know what he voted on because he just got off the plane and had a death in the family and was tired.
Yeah, that was sad. Yeah, that was sad. It was. But, and that's why I think, actually, Lincoln Chafee should have stayed on the plane and taken a hop to some other destination rather than Washington, D.C. or Las Vegas. All right, more calls.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Debate.
I am your toilet, so how do you do? I take away your wee and the odd number 2. For a quiet moment, I'll always be there, bringing you troubles. You don't even have to care. Oh, think about the things you put me through. Things you put me through that have been through you. Stuff from your body I'll happily take. Liquid or solid, whatever you make. When you think of all the things that I do, it's time to say thanks to your Lou. If I wasn't there anymore, you can only imagine disaster. I am a lifesaver, and that is not a lie. Where I don't exist, thousands die. So next time you have to do a poo or a wee, thank the sanitary saints that you have me. When you think of all the things that I do, it's time to say thanks to your Lou. La 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 la. It's time to say thank you to your Lou.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
33 minutes after the hour of the morning after the big debate. And we are dissecting the debate, the performance of Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Martin O'Malley, as well as Jim Webb and Lincoln Chafee. And taking your calls at 866-55-PRESS. David Jackson joins us from the White House in the next segment. I hate this, asking people, now what label do you want to be known under, right? But they do it all the time. All right, with Hillary Clinton. So are you a liberal or a progressive, she says?
I'm a progressive, but I'm a progressive who likes to get things done. And I know how to find common ground, and I know how to stand my ground, and I have proved that in every position that I've had.
All
That's
right.
the way to answer that question. I
That
agree.
is,
It's kind
yeah.
of a goofy question.
Goofy, but that was a good answer to that question, yeah. Bernie, I don't think the perfect answer, but an okay answer. So they want to know with him. So, are you a capitalist? You know what? First of all, let me just stop there. I would have turned around and said, what do you mean by a capitalist? What's your definition of a capitalist?
Yeah, right.
I mean, does a capitalist mean that anything goes for big business? That's the implication, right?
Yeah.
So I think you could destroy Anderson Cooper. First of all, do you think Anderson Cooper has any idea what a capitalist is? No. But anyhow, here I thought Bernie did a good job.
Do I consider myself part of the casino capitalist process by which so few have so much and so many have so little, by which Wall Street, greed and recklessness wreck this economy? No, I don't. I believe in a society where all people do well, not just a handful of billionaires.
Yeah, right. I thought that was...
That's a great...
So he turned that around, turned it right back to his core issue.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, and that's what he's saying. But I think Bernie could also say, yeah, sure, I'm a capitalist. I want to make as much money as anybody else.
Sure.
Although, to tell the truth, Bernie doesn't give a damn about making money. He never has. So
His
that's the thing.
His suit last night. I mean, it's like he's got lint on his suit and his hair was messed up.
Bernie was Bernie.
Right, Bernie was Bernie.
That's why we love him. Yeah. Remember, yesterday we talked to Jim out in Las Vegas, who had been picked to be part of the focus group.
Oh, yeah.
But from CNN, and he did it, and he's back to tell us about it this morning. Hey, Jim, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, Bill, it was really a lot of fun. And before the debate, they gave us some equipment to turn 100% if you like what they said and 0 if you didn't like it.
Oh.
50 was in the middle.
Oh, yeah?
And they told us that it was all practice questions before the debate, but it was trick. The questions they asked us were real questions. How much have you heard about Lincoln Chafee? And who would you like to win? And then after the debate, they asked us the same questions. They told us this was just for practice, but it wasn't. They kept the questions there. And a couple of things were so cool, and they asked you at the end, 90% of the people wanted Bernie by raising of hands. And then they asked
Wait. 90%?
90% of the people in this preferred Bernie. And then they said, no matter who you were for, who do you think is going to win the primary? And 100% said Hillary.
That's interesting.
Not that they wanted her to, but they thought that she was going to win. And another question they asked was, out of all the candidates, who do you think cares more about what you want and not what everybody wants? And 90% of the people said Bernie was more on our side, and a very little it was very low for Hillary.
Wow.
But it was a very, very interesting survey. They did it very well. And in between the debate, they took little snapshots asking us who we prefer. They taped them, and they're going to use them in the international CNN and during the week as fill-in.
Well, we'll be looking for you, Jim. The Bernie Sanders campaign put out I have it right here on my screen last night that said on CNN. A majority in a post-debate focus group said Sanders was the victor. So just confirming what you told us. But it's not just a majority. It's 90%, huh?
It was very good. And another thing was we were all very happy about that 4 out of 5 of the candidates were for some kind of gun control. And here in Nevada, 89% of the population want background checks.
Yeah.
And yet our Senator Dean Heller, it refuses. You get a form letter back about the Second Amendment and blah, 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 blah. So we were really happy. We discussed that 4 out of 5 of them want some sort
I guess Jim Webb was the only one who's against it, right?
Right. He was the only one that was against it.
Yeah, he doesn't
But one thing we were absolutely unanimous about was how much respect. It wasn't like the clown cars of the Republicans. Everybody had respect for everyone's opinion.
Yeah.
And it was so nice to see that in this day and age, you didn't have somebody criticizing the Spanish and the women, and it just was a very, very interesting
Absolutely.
night.
Hey, Jim, you're a rock star, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to call us back yesterday. You called us yesterday and called us back today and report on that. That is really stunning, I find. 90%. So just to repeat what Jim was telling us, from this focus group, they were chosen at random by CNN, where 90% said Bernie won. 100% said, every one of them said, Hillary would be the winner of the primary. 90% said Bernie was the person who was the most on their side on the issues. That's why Bernie is doing so well around the country.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
And yet you still have that almost inevitability and winnability that Hillary has with her. And I can see why. Again, she was really had a.
She looked like the front.
She had a really good night last night. By the way, just one other dig at my former network, CNN.
This is great.
I thought it was embarrassing. Okay. Let's see. Now we have a question about Black Lives Matter. Let's bring the black guy in to ask that question. Okay, let's get the African American to ask that question about Black Lives Matter a little bit later. Well, we got to talk about immigration. All right, let's bring the Latino in to talk about immigration reform.
Yep.
All right, so I was ready to say, all right, is Anderson going to ask the gay question? But he didn't.
Yeah.
There was not one question about LGBT.
Not one.
Rights.
Not one.
Not one about the same-sex marriage, right? Not one about the Employee Non-Discrimination Act, which it's got a new name this year, which Joe Biden talks a lot about, right? Not one question about that, which I thought was pretty, a lot on climate change, which was good, unlike the Republican debate. Nothing on the gay rights.
The war has been won on gay rights, but there's still a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about.
The next president is going to have to really.
I mean, in some 21 states, you can still be arrested just because fired. Because you're gay.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's a real problem.
Right. But I mean, the idea that they have the black guy ask the black question, the brown guy ask the brown question.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's painful.
It was. Whew, how could they not?
They should have thought
that ahead of time.
That's a pretty easy one to spot. Yeah.
All right. Hey, let's jump up to Rochester, New York. Hello, Sam. What do you think?
Hey, Bill. Hey, I got tired of hearing Jim Webb bragging about his military career, and talking about how he worked in the Reagan administration and whining about airtime. And then Lincoln Chafee's answer to why he voted against Glenn Siegel was embarrassing.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Martin O'Malley, he tried too hard, and he looked a little desperate. And I thought Bernie did well, but I think some voters will be concerned with his gun stance, his conscious objector status during the Vietnam War, and I thought he was a little weak on foreign policy. But overall, I thought Hillary did the best. And why, for some reason, when Democrats are attacked for voting for the Iraq War, why didn't she mention the fact that she based her vote on evidence
supplied by
the Bush administration, which were all lies?
Yeah. No, absolutely. She should have. I thought she didn't have a great answer on that, other than to say, I changed my mind, right? I agree with you on Bernie's got to get a better answer on the gun thing. Just saying he's from a rural state doesn't cut it. And by the way, he's for most of the same stuff that we all are. He voted against the Brady bill, which I don't understand. That was a bad vote too. I got to say, where I'd give him a pass, Sam, where you and I really appreciate the call. And I, for the most part, I'm right down the line with you, Sam. Where I would give Bernie a pass, however, on the conscientious objector thing. I thought that was a low blow on the part of CNN. Listen, there are millions and millions of Americans who opposed the war in Vietnam. I'm one of them. And we stopped the war in Vietnam. It was a bad deal. It was as bad as Iraq. Iraq was probably the biggest mistake since the war in Vietnam. And to kind of brand everybody who opposed the war in Vietnam as non-patriotic, wrong. The tradition of being a conscientious objector in this country goes back as long as this country has existed, and it's not something that would disqualify somebody. How about Dick Cheney, who had 5 deferments that he got for phony baloney reasons for not serving in the military? Yeah, you talk about somebody who would have been disqualified for being in the White House. It was Dick Cheney, not Bernie Sanders. David Jackson standing by at the White House on other news of the day and what's on the president's agenda. We'll talk to David when we come back.
Like politics? Then like The Bill Press Show on Facebook. This is The Bill Press Show.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
How I've been affected by gun violence over the years is through deaths of friends and family members and associates.
When I was 5 years old, I was held at gunpoint in a home invasion.
I've gone to the juvenile detention centers, and I've met dozens of young kids, babies really, who have been affected by gun violence.
Directly, I've lost a few friends, but I think why this touches my heart is having children of my own.
I've been at parties where, I had just left the party and, maybe 10, 15 minutes later, I heard that, somebody got shot and didn't make it.
There are a lot of people benefiting off of our pain, and it's time we do something.
I'm here to unload my investment because I think that it's important that we start kind of seeing where our money is going.
It's time to go to your financial advisor and demand that there are no gun investments in your 401k.
Even if you don't have investments, you can still help spread the word.
This is something everyone can do.
So if you push your people that have 401ks, it might be your grandma, it might be your cousin, this effort can make a big impact.
I'm unloading for my loved ones that I lost.
I'm unloading for my 18-year-old self.
I'm unloading my 401k for the future of my children.
I'm unloading.
I'm unloading
for my family and their future.
I'm unloading so that my daughter can grow up in a safe, loving world.
Unload and join the movement.
Use hashtag I'm unloading to pledge your support for gun-free investing.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Streaming live video right now at youtube.com/TawkrTV. That's TAWKR-TV. This is The Bill Press Show.
All right, 12 minutes before the top of the hour. You may remember the last debate. Poor David Jackson was on the West Coast, but still got up to join us at his regular time, West Coast time. Now, at least for this debate, he's on the East Coast like the rest of us, so it's not quite so bad. But he's there on the job. David Jackson covering the White House for USA Today. Well, what do you think, David, last night? How'd they do?
I think Clinton and Sanders, I think, both did well. I got to tell you, it's hard to imagine any more than a two-person race at this point. But
yeah, really.
Some of my friends thought Martin O'Malley did himself proud as well, but the name ID thing, I think, is a big problem for him.
He
did a really good job.
He did. He tried hard, but I don't think it was enough to catapult him into the to make it a three-person race rather than a two-person race.
Peter, he's done that. He's been a good candidate all along, but nobody seems to be paying attention for whatever reason. He doesn't seem to have a niche in the race, and I think that's a problem.
David, you'll recognize this turn of phrase. Martin O'Malley did a wonderful job last night. Bless his heart.
Yes.
Bless his heart.
That's a good way to put it. But who knows? We could be wrong, but he could be. He's kind of a wild card. I'll be curious to see if he does pick up any traction after last night. But he also did well. The other two guys, it's people wondering why they were invited.
I know. So there was not one question. I was surprised. Not one question about Joe Biden.
No, I was surprised about that too. Yeah. I'm surprised CNN didn't haul out the empty podium and just stick it right there on the
stage. And then keep referring to it, right? Okay, what would Joe do? What would Joe say?
Although I noticed the one thing, CNN really stuck to the issues on the questions, which is a good thing, but there wasn't any questions that I detected about political strategy or the state of the race or anything, and that of course, that would include Biden.
Mm-hmm. How much of it do you think the president watched?
It's probably the Mets-Dodgers game is pretty interesting, so he's probably flipping back and forth.
Yeah.
That was on at the same time.
Well, as Josh Earnest told us, that's probably what he would be doing, would be do a little channel surfing, right?
Right. He'll probably pick up the video. I'm sure he heard about Bernie's comment about the damn emails and Hillary Clinton's comment about being hated by the Republicans, so he'll see the highlights, I'm sure.
Right. Certainly Bernie's comment was a highlight of the best line of the night, did you think? Yeah.
Right. That was interesting, the way he really kind of took her off the hook off the email thing.
I thought she got off the hook on that, thanks to Bernie, but she also got off the hook on Benghazi. There was a lot less on Benghazi than I expected.
Right. She had to go out of her way to criticize the committee and bring up Kevin McCarthy.
Right. So there was nobody on stage seemed to be happy with the current policy or situation in Syria with Russia, or know what to do about it. And that's Obama's problem too, isn't it?
Well, I think it's everybody's problem. I think the Republicans are going to be in the same boat, and no one's real happy with what's going on in Syria, especially with more Iranian involvement. But how do you get there? How do you get from here to there? That's going to be the question. You notice Hillary Clinton stuck up for the no-fly zone idea, but she was criticized by her opponents. So it's already some would argue that it's already a quagmire, certainly a political quagmire for American lawmakers who are trying to figure out how to deal with this.
And I saw a New York Times piece, and I'm sure I was wondering if you've picked up any of this on your own reporting around the White House, that the administration, people inside the administration are split about how to deal with Putin.
I think it's right. Yes, very much. Well, they're split about how to deal with a lot of things. And the only thing I agree on is this is probably going to be a problem that's going to fall to the next president. This is one of the first things. At the end of every presidency, you start hearing about things that, well, we're not going to be able to get to it. It's going to have to be the next guy, and Syria is one of them, and Putin is one of them.
Is the president considering extending American troop presence in Afghanistan?
Yes, I think he is. I think that's another thing that he's rethinking. A lot of concern about that. Although the Taliban gave up Kunduz last night, a story that I don't think got as much attention as it should have. They're taking over of Kunduz got a lot more publicity than their withdrawal from it. But I do think that he's rethinking that, and that's another issue that's probably going to be ultimately decided by the next president, is whether to maintain or even increase the troop presence in Afghanistan. I think you'll see bases there down the line. It's just a question of when.
So with just a little bit over a year, maybe it's too early for this question, but I just wonder, what's left on Obama's plate for the next year and a half? You know, he won't get immigration reform. He's not going to get climate change. Is it just kind of holding on, or?
Pretty much. I think climate change is going to be a big thing, and I think.
That's right, with Paris, yeah.
Right. I wouldn't shock me to see him go to Paris to talk about that global climate change deal. So that's one thing. Guantanamo, they still seem to think they can get all those prisoners out before he leaves. Although I'll wonder about that.
You know,
and also, what can you do executive order-wise too?
Right. I have to ask you, did you report on this Hillary and Obama chasing the Chinese around?
I don't remember. That's going to be, some people are going to follow up on that. I don't remember that. I do remember them going to that conference. I do remember them talking to the Chinese, just as they've been talking to them throughout his presidency about a global climate change. But this so-called secret meeting, I have not heard that. I'll be curious to see if anybody follows up on that.
Yeah, me too.
I find it hard to believe that anybody could barge in on a secret meeting of the Chinese government. But,
also hard to believe that she and the president were just running around this conference hall, running from room to room, like looking in closets, right, under the beds for the Chinese. Yeah, we'll find. I think we'll hear more about that too.
Yes, I'm sure we'll try to hear more about it.
All right, we'll catch up a little bit later, David. Thanks so much.
Thank
All
you,
right, David Jackson at the White House, USA Today.
Your progressive headquarters for the 2016 election. This is the Bill Press Show.
We came here to Foster City, where we're going to watch UC Berkeley, a University of California SWAT team, do a hostage rescue scenario.
Should I put the water in there now?
Yeah, go ahead. This is like some kind of chemical agent?
Yeah. Copy, we're ready. I'm gonna get shot. I already know it, dude. Fiend's yelling at me. Help me. Your hands. Help me. Your hands. Back to
Gentlemen, we have a chemical. We need to pull our person out. Get these guys out of here. Pull them out. Put your hands on your face. Put your hands on your face. Keep him covered.
Your head up. He's got a shotgun back there.
That's all right. Keep his hands up where we can.
Hands on your face.
Hands on your face. On your face.
Someone cover me. I got a holster up, dude.
Okay, pull him around the corner. Pick him up. Get him out of the building. Quickly. We've got this. Let's get that guy out of there. You, come towards us. Keep your hands on your face. Turn around. Face away from us. Back towards us. Quickly. Back up towards me. Quickly. Pull him out of the room.
We're exfilling, Billy?
Yes, we are exfilling.
It's actually around 92, 94, there was an attack on the Chancellor at the
at his residence, which is on campus. And we realized at the time that we didn't have any resources to deal with that kind of threat when it took place. So, and I think about 15 years before, they had some kind of semblance of a SWAT team. So they regenerated the idea of
I see.
activating a SWAT team.
And then since then, you guys have kind of branched out to doing what kind of stuff?
Well, since then, we train for everything. We train for every eventuality, barricaded subjects. Like I said, most of what we do is high-risk warrants.
And it's something like it could be like a mugging kind of thing, just like on the street.
Depends.
Or
I mean,
like
a mugging, but if it's armed, particularly.
Right, an armed mugging.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. And then obviously we're looking for training for anything else. That we might be faced with. And that's what's great about Urban Shield is we couldn't duplicate this on our own.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Peter.
Mark your calendar, November 7. November 7.
I'm ready.
That is the date.
November 7.
That Donald Trump will be hosting Saturday Night Live.
I just crossed it off.
They announced it yesterday.
I'll watch that.
You're damn right. We'll be watching that for sure. It's a weird announcement because
why are they doing that?
They had distanced themselves from Donald.
I thought they fired him, right?
Yeah.
They said they didn't want anything more to do after those racist comments. I know why they're doing it.
The ratings are too
ratings.
good.
They'll probably figure they'll get record ratings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Everybody sucks up to Donald Trump.
This is the Bill Press Show.
I'm a Piston fan. Their slogan was, "We come to work." That's what Detroit about. That's why they used it. It's a team thing. They won 2 championships, a team. There was no star. No mayor can come in here and be a star. It's a team thing. No governors can come in here and think you can do it by yourself. It's a team thing. You got communities. They got ideas, too. The only thing wrong with Detroit, people have lost hope here. Residents, city workers, so much corruption. They lose hope. But I grew up here. I love this city. I think it can come back. I've been working for the city 24 and a half years. Within the last 10 years, we took 4 pay cuts and then an additional 10% wage cut. I've lost a home.
When you take all of the decisions out of the city of Detroit, all of us, then what do you have? Exactly what we got, a lot of problems. Every time the city seems to fall into a problem, it's always on the backs of us workers.
You wake up out of a dead sleep and you jump behind the wheel and take off driving and try to get everybody there safe, not knowing really what you're pulling up to. I'm not eligible for Social Security, so the pension is my sole salary at this point.
We've been in business here 39 years. We've seen a lot of changes in Detroit. The area was a lot of industry, a lot of city workers. It's getting very tough for the city workers. It's getting tough for us as a business people.
Response times are increasing because of the closing of companies, which takes your insurance rate through the roof. So all the things that affect us affect the citizens.
I worked for the city in different capacities for 29 years. I feel like an old jacket. They use me up and they throw me away. In my condition, nobody's gonna hire me. I'm 68 years old. Half the times, I can't get my blood pressure medicine. It's either feeding myself, blood pressure, or paying bills.
$754. By the time they take all the deductions for I have my car insurance, my house insurance, and my health insurance taken out. So the time they take all that, I'll get about $300 after they take all that out. I don't understand it. I can't see how the governor is allowing this to happen and what they're doing and they want to blame it all on the seniors. Not only the seniors, but the city workers. And we worked hard. I know I worked hard.
I've been in Detroit since 1946. I was 14 years old when I came in. I don't live large at all.
I wish I could. I don't know when the last time I've been shopping. I only get $1,100, and I'm 81 years old, and I need every penny that I can get and that I do get. And I'm very, very upset about the idea of them taking away my pensions that I worked 30 years for. I think it's terrible that they talk about Detroit like they do, because Detroit has been very good to me.
I have a lot of city workers coming in with their uniforms on, Detroit Water Department, Police Department, Fire Department. I get a lot of people, the Border Patrol come in. So if I lose that customer base, I'm going to be in a position where I might have to close down. If they take away their pensions, if they start cutting jobs, it's going to cut into a large percentage of not only our business, but other businesses that are in the city of Detroit. We're here. We've been here for 26 years. We're still trying to do business in the city.
Detroiters are survivors. They tough, they adapt, but only can do so much when your politicians ahead of you and we're not on the same team. We're not gonna let Detroit be erased, bulldozed, or wherever. We're gonna fight to the bitter end. Detroit gonna survive.
Just this month, my bill was like $138.
Even at one phone call a week cost me $40 to $50 every month.
I am living on a fixed income of SSI, so this is really a great hardship. Families are being punished. When they incarcerate your children, they incarcerate the whole family.
In 2011, the Media Action Grassroots Network, Working Narratives, and Prison Legal News founded the Campaign for Prison Phone Justice, an effort to call on the FCC to address the cost of interstate phone calls. The campaign mobilized prisoners to send hundreds of letters. Advocates and families filled out postcards, met with elected officials, and signed petitions. Partnerships were formed across the political spectrum and with groups in the criminal justice, civil rights, and public interest community. The film distribution company Participant Media and director Ava DuVernay joined the fight through a social action campaign tied to the release of the feature film Middle of Nowhere. In an effort to push the FCC to act, the campaign hosted a historic rally outside of the Federal Communications Commission where for the first time, families of prisoners, elected officials, civil rights and faith leaders came together to call for an end to predatory phone rates.
We're all held captive when predatory phone companies gouge our families.
My son has been incarcerated now for over 10 years, and my husband estimates that in the time we spent over $25,000 on prison phone calls.
My hero's not yours, you probably arrested them. Your schools probably neglected them. They spawn thoughts, you probably infected them. Feed us what you feed us, you can lay us next to them. FBI call it major crimes. Babies making babies cry.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Yes, Hillary had a great night. Bernie had a good night. The Democratic Party had a fabulous night. The morning after the big Democratic debate, does it change anything as we move forward? I would hope it would change some people's minds about which party cares about the real issues of the day and which party has candidates who will do something about it. Hello, everybody. Welcome on a Wednesday, October 14. Hello, hello, hello. Great to see you today. And great to have an opportunity to start your day by talking about the big debate we all watched last night. And whether you were for Hillary or for Bernie before the debate, how do you think they came out on the other end? You know the way to let us know, 866-55-PRESS. That's our toll-free number. As we join you on your local Progressive Talk radio station, as we join you on one of the two great radio apps, either TuneIn or iHeartRadio, as we join you on Free Speech TV and on your electronic device, wherever you are on this planet, on TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. Peter Rugburn, Jamie Benson, circles under their eyes. Good morning.
Hello, Bill.
I'm feeling great.
All
Here
right.
we are.
Yes, I know.
I've sort of caught my second wind. I'm ready to rock and roll.
It just means we don't need as much sleep as we thought we did.
But we still need as much coffee as we thought we did.
Right.
At least I do.
In fact, I am having for the first time a coffee Chobani yogurt this morning.
You never have coffee.
Never. I don't drink coffee. I do not drink
scrape
coffee.
you off the ceiling here in a second after all the
But I
coffee
saw
done.
this at the Safeway the other day, and I thought, I'm going to buy one of these for the morning after the debate. I did.
Smart.
Yeah. And it's good.
All right.
So far. Wait,
in the third hour when Bill is
I always have
jittery
my
and shaking.
Chobani, but I usually have fruit,
Yeah. Oh, screw fruit, man. Just get some coffee.
Get the coffee, right.
Two birds with one stone.
Ray Rogers here on the phones, ready for your calls. What do you think about the debate? Let her know who won. 866-55-PRESS, and Cyprian Balding here as our videographer. So we're looking at you with the lights and cameras on Free Speech TV and Talker TV. You knew the debate was too long. It's my just one complaint about the debate. The last one was much too long. Last night was still a little too long. It was so long that they had to take a break so the candidates could pee. All right, and one of them almost didn't make it back on stage, and she had to tell us why. Here's Anderson Cooper bringing it back.
All the candidates are back, which I'm very happy to see. It's a long story. Let's continue, shall we? Secretary Clinton, welcome back.
Well, thank you. It does take me a little longer. That's all I can say.
That's right.
No, we don't have to hear that. No, right? It does, but if the debate weren't so long, right, they could stand up there without having to take a pee break.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
Mm-hmm. Right. Think of all the toilets flushing across the country when they take that pee break at any rate. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Ray Locker from USA Today is going to be joining us at the half hour here. He's got a new book out about Richard Nixon. He's also got a lot to say about the debate. In the next hour, Zeke Miller will be here for the entire hour as a friend of Bill from Time Magazine. And then we'll be joined from Las Vegas, up early, by Niall Stanage from The Hill. Let's get right to your reactions about the debate. But first,
this is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. The idea of legalizing marijuana in England has been a sort of a subject for quite some time. They're considering it. And they actually did a survey that was supposed to be kept quiet by the Treasury about how much money could be made if they did legalize marijuana, right? Here are their findings. Turns out they could raise millions in taxes if they legalized marijuana in England. The Treasury, which was they're the ones that commissioned this study, found out that not only could they rake in millions of taxes, it would also save them about £200 million a year in court and police costs alone. Yeah. It's the same stuff that we've talked about here. It applies over there as well. No word on whether or not that's influenced any movement.
Colorado.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know if it's sort of going to push them one way or the other, but now we know that they know that they can make a lot of money and save money if they legalize it. Bernie Sanders doesn't have a Ben & Jerry's flavor ice cream in his honor yet, but our buddy Ben Cohen, who was just here a couple weeks ago.
By the way, Saturday I went to Safeway. I got my free pint of Ben & Jerry's. It was a chocolate with big chocolate chips in it. I forget, chocolate chunks in it.
Nice.
Yeah, Carol picked it up, but I don't know.
Was it the New York
name of
Super Fudge chunk?
No.
Because that's a good one.
You didn't find rum raisin? No rum raisin.
I didn't know.
I don't think they make it. I don't think they make rum raisin.
No, but it was really good.
Yeah.
We had
They're
it.
the best. They're the best. Anyway, he doesn't have a Ben & Jerry's flavor yet, but Ben Cohen, our buddy, who was just here not that long ago, he spoke to CNN and said that if he was going to name an ice cream after Bernie, he would call it Bernie's Yearning, and it would be a giant chocolate chip on top of ice cream on top of the ice cream in the pint. Quoting Ben Cohen, quote, "The giant chip on the top represents all the wealth that's gone to the 1% of the population over the last 10 years. And the way you eat it is you whack it with your spoon and then you mix it around."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's see the metaphor there.
Share the wealth.
So no word on if they are going to put that into production, but it's an idea.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's an idea. And the movie The Big Lebowski, there's a big mansion in the movie where Mr. Lebowski lives, right? It's sort of a centerpiece of the movie. Turns out they have the house has two new famous people living there, Jay-Z and Beyonce. Living in that Big Lebowski mansion.
Really?
Oh. Yes, indeed. They signed a 1-year lease for the $45 million mansion in LA's Holmby Hills. They're paying $150,000 a month for the house. It is 20,000 square feet with an indoor Olympic-sized swimming pool and an outdoor pool with a waterfall and formal gardens. But, of course, all they really need is a rug to really tie the room together.
Yeah.
There you go.
Holmby Hills, that's where the Playboy Mansion is. Just want you to know. All right. Hey, indeed, this is our little thumbnail kind of summary of the debate last night. Bernie had a good night. Hillary had a great night. And the Democratic Party had a fabulous night. Huffington Post this morning talks about, here are some issues they identify, 8 issues they identify. When I say why the Democratic Party had a fabulous night, I think is because it showed the Democratic Party is a party that recognizes there are real issues out there affecting real people that need real solutions, and they've got real candidates to deal with them. Think about these issues that were debated last night that never heard the light of day, never saw the light of day, I should say, were never heard from during either one of the Republican debates. The whole question of race relations or Black Lives Matter, campaign finance reform, the NSA spying, domestic spying operation, Wall Street reform, all the wealth going to the 1%, college affordability, diplomacy over military, and paid family leave and paid medical leave. None of those issues were discussed by the Republicans at all. They were all featured last night on the Democratic debate.
Yeah.
What a difference between the two parties. And we talked a lot about, we mentioned on some issues, it was really a debate between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. And I must admit, on one issue particularly, I thought that Bernie was not where he should have been, and Hillary was very, very strong, and that was on the issue of guns. If we can, Jamie, where she talks about Hillary standing up to the NRA.
I think that we have to look at the fact that we lose 90 people a day from gun violence. This has gone on too long, and it's time the entire country stood up against the NRA. The majority of our country supports background checks, and even the majority of gun owners do.
Bernie, on the other hand, strong answer, the right answer. Bernie, on the other hand, he is not bad on, he's not pro-NRA. He's got a D- voting record from the NRA, but he still waffles a little bit, and he's all for background checks. He's all for closing the gun show loophole. Closing a possibility of straw purchases. He's good on most of those issues. He did vote against the Brady bill. I don't understand that vote. But he clings to this difference that it's different between rural states and urban states.
But I come from a rural state, and the views on gun control in rural states are different than in urban states, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, I don't buy that. And
it's not his crowd.
It's not his crowd. And I don't think that's a good answer, and I think he could hold his own and have a better answer than that. So I give her the edge on that issue. On other issues, I thought she showed a tone deafness on Edward Snowden, by the way. She said basically he wasn't any whistleblower. He could have just gone, I've heard that so much, it's just BS. He could have just gone through the procedures and complained to his superiors And that way, and they would have listened to him, and he could have made a difference. No, he couldn't. He would have been fired.
Yep.
He would. There was no way.
They'd have covered it up. We didn't. Never found out about
no way in the NSA hierarchy that would have. No, we would never have found out about it. Bernie Sanders, on the other hand, so I thought she was really out of touch on that issue. Bernie Sanders, on the other hand, said Edward Snowden had done us a real public service. We know now what's going on. We know how bad it is, how wrong it is. But also Bernie said he did break the law, so he's going to have to be held accountable for breaking the law. I mean,
it was a very common sense answer by Bernie.
Very common sense.
You don't just
answer.
let him off the hook necessarily.
But at the same time, you recognize he did perform a public service. On the banks, I thought Bernie had the better on that issue. I mean, Bernie said basically these banks are too damn big, too big to fail, too big to jail, and you've got to break them up. They're bigger than they've ever been before. And Hillary was saying, well, you know, when I was a senator, I went to Wall Street and told them, please stop what you're doing. Well, that was kind of a weak answer, I really thought. So I give Bernie the edge.
You certainly can't say it in front of the results.
No, there weren't.
They're just as
no results at all
now as they ever have been.
The one where I thought that she was really so 20th century, was on pot. So Nevada has this initiative coming up, which would join Oregon, Alaska, Colorado, and Washington State with legalizing the recreational use of pot. Hillary, are you ready to support that?
Are you ready to take a position tonight?
No. I think that we have the opportunity through the states that are pursuing recreational marijuana to find out a lot more than we know today. I do support the use of medical marijuana, and I think even there we need to do a lot more research so that we know exactly how we're going to help people for whom medical marijuana provides relief.
Wait, she supports medical marijuana? Again, that is so 20th century.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus, I supported medical marijuana, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago. I mean, that's ridiculous. Pat Buchanan and I used to debate that on Crossfire 15 years ago. You know, that's no big deal. She supports medical marijuana. I mean, like, who doesn't? Bernie, on the other hand, who admits smoked pot a couple of times and didn't do anything for him.
Wait, smoked pot a couple of times yesterday or over the course of his...
But he gets the question. Same question.
I suspect I would vote yes. And I would vote yes because I am seeing in this country too many lives being destroyed for nonviolent offenses.
Yeah.
We have a criminal justice system that lets CEOs on Wall Street walk away, and yet we are imprisoning or giving jail sentences to young people who are smoking marijuana.
Yep, that's the right answer, and a good, strong answer. Ron is calling from out in Elgin, Illinois. Hey, Ron, you watched. What'd you think?
Yes, well, I'm a Bernie fan, but I'm a bigger fan of reasonable gun control. And I think Hillary, obviously, as you mentioned a couple minutes ago, she was all over him on that.
Yeah.
I'm a Bernie supporter, but I'm a bigger supporter of reasonable gun control, and that's where I would...
And I think Bernie,
I would put my money.
Yeah, and I think Bernie is heading. Let's say he's evolving, maybe, or he's stronger now, maybe than he started out. I think you ought to just say that voting against the Brady bill was a mistake, right? And
I agree, and go back on that urban-rural state issue too. He's got to back off on that.
Right. Yeah. You know, it's sort of like I pointed on the Black Lives Matter last night. I thought he hit that out of the park when he was asked, do all lives matter, do Black Lives matter? He had a really good answer. And I remember early in the campaign, again, because of where he comes from, you know, he wasn't really kind of on top of that issue. But, boy, he got there. He got there fast.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. So, yeah. But, you know, Bernie had a good night. The Bernie supporters don't have to feel badly about last night at all, I don't think. And I love the fact, Ron, maybe you did too. I wasn't sure how Bernie could get that hour-long stump speech down to a short clip. But, boy, when he had the 90-second close, I guess, and the 2-minute open or whatever, he did it. He
did a really,
down.
really good job.
Yeah, and he was passionate, too, for sure. All right. Hey, thanks, Ron. Thanks for the call. 866-55-PRESS. More of your calls coming up here. You know, basically the question is who won, who lost, who did well, who had a good night, who did not. And maybe you can tell me, why were Lincoln Chafee and Jim Webb there again? As somebody tweeted last night when they were talking about pot, that Lincoln Chafee could have lit up a joint and smoked it, and nobody would have even noticed.
Yeah.
The camera wouldn't have even caught him.
God.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
When I started learning about nutrition, about which, by the way, much less is known than you might think, I learned that what mattered most about one's health was not necessarily the nutrients, good or bad, that you were consuming or staying away from, or even the calorie counts. But what predicted a healthy diet more than anything else is the fact that it was being cooked by a human being and not a corporation. Corporations cook very differently than people do. They use vast amounts of salt, fat, and sugar, much more than you would ever use in your own cooking. And the reason they do that is those are three incredibly attractive and incredibly cheap ingredients. And when they're layered properly, as in a chip or pastries and forms of junk food, they're incredibly addictive. They really press our buttons. They activate our dopamine network, our cravings. And in fact, people in the industry, they don't talk about addiction in the food industry, even though they traffic in addiction. They talk about craveability. It's the same thing. And snackability is another term they use. It's a lovely word. And then the last point about corporate cooking that's important to understand is they cook different stuff than you do at home. What they're good at, in general, they don't cook that well, but things like chips, they cook incredibly well. And here's a classic food that if you make it yourself, if you've ever made French fries, you have to wash the potatoes, you have to peel the potatoes, you have to slice the potatoes, you have to fry them in a lot of oil, you have to spatter your entire stovetop, you have to clean up, and then you have this pot of oil you have to get rid of. I mean, it's really difficult, and it's a pain. They're wonderful, but it's a pain. And if you make them yourself, you'll only eat them every 6 weeks, 2 months, because it's too much work. But when you let corporations cook for you, it's so simple and so inexpensive, and they're really good, that you will have them twice a day, as many people in America do. So you see the kinds of foods you end up with are these labor-intensive foods and desserts. These special occasion foods become everyday foods when we let industry cook for us. Eat anything you want, just cook it yourself.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC. Or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
The most valuable morning radio show, according to The Nation magazine. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go now. 26 minutes after the hour. Ray Locker is the Washington Enterprise editor at USA Today. He's got a new book out called Nixon's Gamble. He'll join us in studio for the next half hour. Your take on last night's debate, Beverly, out in St. David, Illinois. Beverly, what'd you think?
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Good, thank you. Hillary did pretty well last night, huh?
She did fantastic. Last night, America should be proud. We actually heard intelligent Americans.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. Right.
It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. CNN was Anderson Cooper was horrid. I mean,
agree.
Lord have mercy. There was no question about the Voting Rights Act. I was a little disappointed
That's
in
right.
that.
Yep.
I was a little disappointed in more on women's issues. There was some good questions, but we needed a little bit more substantial on that. Otherwise, I thought it was an excellent, excellent debate. On MSNBC later on, there was a certain person who is not a Hillary fan, said that on that debate stage, they talked about policies, and it was a great debate, and it upstaged the Republicans. And who said that, Bill? Steve Schmidt, who was...
Oh, really?
Yes.
Huh.
He was very impressed, and he also said Bernie is real.
No kidding. I didn't see that last night for Steve Schmidt. I saw that several Republicans... You got to say, Beverly, and that's why I say the Democratic Party had a fabulous night last night, because I think it showed, as you point out, Beverly, it was real people talking about, real serious candidates talking about real issues that impact real people. Such a contrast to the Republican debates. Democrats going to be proud of that. Ray Locker joins us
This is the Bill
next.
Press Show.
I have run these canyons for 6 million years. I have traveled from the Rocky Mountains to the deserts, through scorching heat and freezing cold, from the land of the dinosaurs to fields of food.
I lend my hand to 7 states, 2 countries, 9 national parks,
and 36 million people across an arid West.
I am not the strongest or the largest, but I am the hardest working.
People love me.
My playfulness,
My beauty.
my power.
My life. But I don't think I can offer any more.
I am tired.
I am tired,
tapped,
and tied. Of the hundreds of major rivers in the world, I am one of the few who no longer kisses the sea.
Battles to harness my soul have been won and lost. Use me wisely, and I will sustain you.
Use me like you have, and I will break. My name
My name is
is Red, the Grand river red. The American Nile.
The Canyon Maker. I am the Colorado River.
And I am the most endangered river in America.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
He's not running for president, but he will shake hands and kiss babies. It's the Bill Press Show, your progressive headquarters for the 2016 election.
All right, at 33 minutes after the hour, it is the Bill Press Show. We are live from Washington, D.C., and they are live in Las Vegas this morning. We've seen a lot of most of the morning shows are covering what we're talking about, the big debate last night. And everybody who was there last night in Vegas for the debate seems to be up this morning and on the cable shows talking about it. And we want to hear from you. What do you thought about Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, Martin O'Malley? Did Jim Webb and Lincoln Chafee even waste time showing up? And did CNN waste time putting them on stage? 866-55-PRESS is the toll-free number. Ray Locker will be joining us shortly from USA Today. One big issue came. The first time that they went to face the two. I think there are only two questions from Facebook that I remember.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Which again was kind of a waste, right?
Why do it?
Yeah,
if you're just going to use the two. Why do it?
And they're taped ahead of time, and they're kind of, mail them in, right? But at any rate, and that was the first, that was a question about Black Lives Matter. Again, shame on CNN that was the one time they called on their black reporter to ask the black question about Black Lives Matter from a young black man, so stereotype. But at any rate, it went to Bernie Sanders. Remember, he was the first one who was protested against by the Black Lives Matter movement. He was ready for last night. I thought his answer was good and strong.
We need to combat institutional racism from top to bottom, and we need major reforms in a broken criminal justice system in which we have more people in jail than China. And I intend to tackle that issue to make sure that our people have education and jobs rather than jail cells.
Bernie Sanders on Black Lives Matter last night. Ray Locker, we mentioned, Washington Enterprise editor for USA Today. He's out with a new book about Richard Nixon, Nixon's Gamble. Hi, Ray. How you doing?
Hey,
right.
I'm doing great.
Good
Thanks for having me, Bill.
Glad the Metro got you here. I know. It's always a gamble. Talk about a gamble.
Gamble, that's right.
It's Washington's Gamble. It's called the Metro, right? A new book. Nixon's Gamble, How a President's Own Secret Government Destroyed His Administration. Congratulations. Want to talk to you about that. Did you have a chance to watch the debate last night?
I did. I worked last night.
You worked, meaning, you had people writing and you were editing.
I was editing and I was watching and I was tweeting.
Yeah. So what's the general consensus?
In our office, it was that Clinton had a very good night. that Bernie Sanders did what he needed to do. He communicated his message to his audience, but that she did more than what she needed to do, and that she solidified her position as the front runner and kind of kept Joe Biden at bay. And I've always thought that Joe Biden doesn't really want to run. He would only run if she really faltered, and she did not give him that opening last night.
She certainly did not. No, if he were watching, looking for a weak Hillary Clinton, he didn't see it last night. And it did show. I agree with you. I was, as I said, opened the show. I thought Bernie had a good night. Hillary had a great night.
Yeah.
And I thought the Democratic Party had a very good night in terms of what they showed, the issues they talked about, and the candidates. But back to Hillary. The fact that she had run for president before, that she'd been in like maybe 25 debates, she had it down. She also, I think, she spent clearly more time in prep, getting ready for this debate than anybody else, and she looked like she was very comfortable. She was loose. She was tough when she had to be. She was funny when she had to be, and she was also able to deflect any attacks that came her way, either against one of the other guys on the stage or against the Republicans.
Right.
I also think that one of the stories coming into this was the lack of debate prep that Bernie Sanders had done. And I think that also showed. I mean, he gets away with a lot because of his authenticity, and debate prep will maybe only go so far with a guy that's as authentic as Bernie Sanders. But I definitely think that some of the exchanges and the ins and outs of a debate showed that he hadn't prepped as much.
Not as facile. Not as facile.
He had to know that all the stuff about guns was coming, and he didn't act like it. I mean, his thing is he's going to say what he wants, but nobody's asking him questions as he's going out there to crowds, huge crowds of people, and saying what's on his mind. And it's a totally different dynamic in a debate.
Yeah. Now, I think he was weak on the gun thing. He wasn't really ready for the gun thing. She obviously was. I thought he was very strong on the banks. And she was a little wishy. Well, I went to Wall Street and I told them, please stop. Didn't quite work.
Right.
We just talked about this. I was surprised. This is not the biggest issue by far, but on the pot issue, that she seems so, like I've said, 20th century, right? She said, well, I support medical marijuana. Well, I mean,
who doesn't?
Exactly.
At this point.
Right, So, why were Link Chafee and Jim Webb on stage?
I think most of America is asking that, and probably most of Vietnam is asking that about Webb too. I mean, I think he's the only guy in a debate who I've seen who's bragged about killing somebody. I mean, it was in the proper context.
That got dark last night. It got, whoa, okay.
If you would think about it, the question was really, you guys have been involved in public life a long time, and you've made enemies along the way. Kind of a stupid question, but at any rate, it was pretty clear what he was talking about. Who are your number one enemies, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he goes back to Vietnam and the guy he killed.
Right.
Yeah. And then smirked.
Yeah.
The smile.
He's not around
was
it.
Weird.
He's not around.
I mean, the story is weird enough, but the way that he was so happy to tell that story on that stage was really dark.
Did Martin O'Malley do well enough to keep himself taken seriously, or to make himself taken seriously?
I think he did. I mean, he looked good. He sounded measured. He touched all the right bases with that constituency. If you're looking for a generational change candidate, he's really the only guy you got.
Yeah.
Because everybody else is in their 60s and north. So, yeah, with under those criteria, I thought he did well enough.
He knew the issues, right, and he held his own. It's still a big gap between where he is and where Bernie and Hillary are.
He wants to be where Bernie is.
Yeah.
And that's going to be tough. In a lot of ways, he's kind of like Marco Rubio in a Republican side. People like him. He seems to be polished, but he's got a lot of things that have to happen for him to get into that upper two candidate tier.
He had Glass-Steagall so many times during the debate, and I just don't think that he did a very good job understanding what people want to hear in a debate. You know, he didn't explain his position on it very well. He didn't explain the issue very well. This seems to be a hill he's willing to die on. He's got to break through somehow, and I just don't think he did.
He's right on the issue, but
big time.
The idea that most people know what it is or give a damn.
It's so far off their radar.
Well, I said last night that I think more people debated Glass-Steagall last night than when it was passed in 1933.
Yeah. Yes.
I think you're right about that. So, we had a call early in the last hour from a member of the focus group on CNN.
Mm-hmm.
He had called us yesterday that he was going to be part of the focus group. He called this morning to report on what it was like, the experience. Very interesting. He said, they asked the group, okay, who do you think won the debate? 90%, this is the CNN focus group, 90% said Bernie Sanders. Second question, who do you think is going to be the nominee of the Democratic Party? 100% said Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
I think people know that she's going to be the nominee. They like him. They like his energy. They like where he is on a lot of the issues, his passion. But in the end, they know that she's going to be the nominee, and I think they're comfortable with it.
Yeah, she certainly looked more like the nominee last night.
Yeah.
And you know, she hasn't had, as everybody said, she hasn't had a great summer.
No.
And I think she had to sort of reassert herself as a nominee last night as the front runner, and I thought she did.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's the thing with the summer. When you don't have any kind of metric to measure somebody, and I mean, people are desperate during the summer to look for one. Is it fundraising? Is it crowds? Is it polls? Well, summer polls don't mean anything, especially in the off year. It's when you see the candidates next to each other that you're able to start making some judgments about them. And I think last night was a big deal for her.
Does it make any difference going forward? Yeah, I mean, you did mention this about Biden. You think it makes it less likely that he run?
I do, and I think the problems that the House Benghazi committee has been having politically with what Kevin McCarthy said, and then this new revelation about the lawsuit by the investigator, I think that's damaged its credibility, and I think it had already been damaged, but even more so, I think that lowers the stakes for her committee appearance next week. So here are two things that she had to worry about in this week and next. That one's down, that's the debate. The second is the committee appearance. I think that's kind of been reduced. And so those are two things that Biden could look at and say, I need to get in.
What do you think was the best moment of the debate, the best line of the debate? Don't we all agree it was Bernie and the emails?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, that was classic.
Smart on his part, too.
Yeah, sure. And I think that's what most of the people think.
Yeah.
And so, and that's not going to be, that's never been his argument.
Right.
It's been Link Chafee's argument.
Yeah.
I'm scandal-free for 30 years. You know?
Right.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Well, but he is from Rhode Island, which is like a scandal every 10 seconds. So
the fact that you can survive scandal-free in Rhode Island is a real miracle of miracles. All right. I'm curious now about how Nixon destroyed his own presidency. We will find out more about what this is all about from Ray Locker, the author. Nixon's Gamble. We have a link on our website. It's up on, of course, Amazon and any other place you can buy your books, hopefully at your local bookstore. We'll be right back. Ray will tell us all about it.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at Facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
This is why you took a second job. Why you taught yourself how to fix the plumbing. Why you'll do whatever it takes to keep your home. And that is why we want to help. We are making home affordable, a free government resource that can make paying the mortgage easier. Call 888-995-HOPE today.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
12 minutes before the top of the hour, Ray Locker here from USA Today. Zeke Miller from Time Magazine here is a friend of Bill for the next hour. Nixon did himself in, Ray, right?
Yes.
Is that he created the system that ended up destroying him? How
Right.
so?
Well, his gamble was that he could do what he thought he needed to do. That was open relations with China, get an arms deal with the Soviet Union, end the Vietnam War, and do it in secret. And he restructured the government on his first day in office, signed something called National Security Decision Memorandum 2. He basically went from the inauguration at the Capitol back to the White House, signed it, and that funneled all control of national security policy in the White House under the National Security Council.
And how did that turn against him?
Well, what happened is he cut a lot of people out of the decision making. The Pentagon, the CIA, the State Department. They didn't know what was going on. Previously, they had, under Lyndon Johnson, was much more freewheeling. And so when they would find something out, they would leak it to the press. That outraged Nixon, who then doubled down on his paranoia and secrecy by spying on members of his own government. In May of 1969, he instituted FBI wiretaps on 17 government officials and journalists. Had to cover that up his entire administration, and that ultimately became part of the second article of impeachment that passed in 1974.
There was something that came out just a couple of days ago. I guess some new papers released in the archives where Nixon privately told Henry Kissinger that what did we get out of all of these months of bombing?
Right, nothing.
Nothing. Zilch, right,
now,
was the word.
And I saw
yet
that.
publicly, he went out and said, it's been very, very, very effective.
Oh, of course. But he had said things like that to Kissinger before. He had complained about the effectiveness of bombing. He had complained about the military's unwillingness to bomb in bad weather. At one time, he went on this lengthy conversation with Kissinger about how they needed to scrap the jets they had and go back to fixed-wing propeller aircraft. And then Kissinger calls Al Haig on the phone and says, "You wouldn't believe what he just told me," and that's detailed in the book. So he's long had a beef with the military.
And he lived an administration of lies, right? I mean,
basically,
yeah, on almost everything.
He lied about things before he ever got elected president.
What is the fascination with Richard Nixon?
He's so complex. He's such an unlikely person now to have ever gotten elected president. Can you imagine Nixon on a debate stage like last night and how well he'd do?
Oh my God. That's a very good point. Of course, the Nixon-Kennedy debates, but they were such a different kind of debate.
Yeah. And so you see him, and then what you learned all during his administration, during the Watergate scandal, about what he was like and how he shows up on the tapes that he made in the White House and the Oval Office. You're like, what an unlikely person to have that job. And people are always fascinated, just like people, and I'm not saying that he was one of these people. People are always fascinated by killers. They want to know what makes those people tick. Nixon was not somebody like that. But it's that kind of, how did that guy get to be, where he was? How did that happen?
Oliver Stone portrays him as this miserable, unhappy drunk, right? Remember that?
Yeah.
Was he?
He did not seem like a happy person. Many of the conversations that he had inside the White House with people were not happy, except when he was doing something that he really wanted to do. When he thought they were going to get the China opening, he was ecstatic. He did drink a lot, or he did drink frequently. I don't know if he drank a lot at a time. People say that he had a very low tolerance for alcohol, and that's what made him act drunk more quickly. And he did that a lot.
This power that he amassed in the White House, right? Did it go away? Is it still there?
I think it's still there. I mean, not used in the same way, but you look at how foreign policy is centralized in the White House now.
Which
people
it is,
have complained
for sure.
about it.
Yeah.
I think the big difference now is that the cabinet officials are read into many of these decisions. I mean, Nixon did not do that. He cut out his Secretary of State, Bill Rogers, from day one. I don't think you can say that about John Kerry. There may be some things that Kerry doesn't know about immediately, but most of the time he's in on the discussion.
So it's still pretty clear that, from my perspective, covering the White House every day, that the decisions ultimately are being made. I mean, the stuff, it's being run out of the White House.
Oh, absolutely. And, I mean, that's where the responsibility lies, right? So if you're going to get blamed for it, you want to have your fingers all over it. You don't want somebody down at the State Department making a decision on their own because you've delegated that authority, and then it turns around and gets you.
Right. Who at the White House was Nixon? So who was his top person at this time on this, with this secret government that you point out?
Well, on foreign policy, it was Henry Kissinger, the National Security Advisor. And he was doing many of the things in concert with Nixon. But Nixon was the one making the decisions, not Kissinger, not the other way around, which is what Kissinger has always wanted to make it look like.
Right. Henry Kissinger. Wow. And there's a new book about Henry Kissinger out, too, as well.
Oh, yeah, the one by Neil Ferguson, which is a giant cinder block of a book that I'm reading now.
A doorstop of a book, isn't it? Nixon's Gamble's the one. It's Ray Locker, How a President's Own Secret Government Destroyed His Administration. Again, link up on our website. Go to Amazon, go to your local bookstore. Ray, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, good trip down to Tampa today. And big event at the University of Tampa down there tomorrow. And I'll come back and let you know what the president's up to today.
Follow us on Twitter at BP Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
A few years ago, plastic bag waste in our city came to a tipping point. It was clear. We had a bag problem. My department was tasked to reduce plastic bag consumption. We needed to come up with ways to change human behavior. So we asked ourselves, should I get back? What do people really hate?
Yep.
Getting punched in the stomach. Preliminary studies showed that the consequences weren't severe enough to warrant behavioral change.
Actually, can I get that double bagged?
So we thought, what do people hate more than getting punched in the stomach? Kissing Helga.
Hey, big boy.
People didn't find her so offensive after all, so we had to get creative.
How many bags? Okay, now, pour this ice water down your pants.
We tried everything.
Eat this rat. Defuse this bomb.
Even fighting your clone. After blowing through millions of dollars of government funds on research, I came up with a brilliant idea.
Why don't we just charge 5 cents per bag?
That's a stupid idea.
Would you like a bag?
Yes.
5 cents a bag.
5 cents? 5 cents? Do I still have the option of getting punched?
Honestly, I don't know how everyone else missed it.
Why don't you just get a reusable bag?
All right, President Obama gets a daily briefing this morning with the Vice President. Then he and the Vice President have lunch. At which time, Joe is going to say to Barack, what the hell do you think I should do, Barack? Man, I was ready to run until I saw that debate last night. Now maybe I won't. I don't know. That's going to be an interesting lunch today.
Yeah.
This afternoon, the two of them meet with the Secretary of State, John Kerry. And this evening, the President and the First Lady host one of those performance at the White House deals. Taping tonight, including all kinds of wonderful performers like Queen Latifah, Smokey Robinson, and on and on.
This
we'll be back
is the
with Zeke.
Bill Press Show.
The hardest moments for me is when I'm laying awake in the middle of the night and I'm thinking about all the times I made a pitcher of Kool-Aid with the water, or I boiled a pot of corn or potatoes with the water. Those thoughts just stick with me in the middle of the night, and I feel horrible as a mom that I didn't know that something was wrong, but how could I have known? There's no way I would have known.
The spill at Dan River happened when a drainage pipe that ran underneath an ash basin and dam collapsed, sucking out 6 decades of waste and spewing gunk directly into the river.
My husband and I just kind of looked at each other like, should we be concerned? We live right next to an ash pond, and this was coal ash spilling into the Dan River, and we learned at that point all of the toxins that were included in coal ash.
A situation like Dan River, where there was a catastrophic disaster, gets people's attention, but the fact is that these coal ash pits have been leaking and poisoning people's groundwater and the state's surface waters for decades. Coal ash is the residue left behind after coal is burned in a coal-fired power plant. A large coal-fired power plant can burn 10 million tons of coal a year. When the organic matter in the coal is burned away, what's left behind are these trace minerals, things like arsenic, lead, mercury, selenium, and chromium. And these are highly concentrated. The coal ash can have concentrations of these contaminants that are 10 to 100 times greater than the level in the coals themselves.
Coal ash pond number 1 is right behind my house, literally pretty much in my backyard. We were approached by a neighbor who was wanting to have their well tested, and we decided that maybe we should have ours tested as well. They found hexavalent chromium at 4.5 parts per billion.
So in talking to the residents, we have discovered anecdotal evidence of an extraordinary number of cancers for this fairly small community.
Some of us in the community got together. We started kind of talking about all the cancer that we've seen in some of our family friends in this community. I think we had somewhere in the neighborhood of around 70 names. So we had some help from our river keepers putting a map together, and it was a little shocking to see it. You know, I still have a hard time looking at it.
Technically, EPA has not regulated coal ash as a hazardous waste, but it is undeniable that coal ash contains many, many hazardous substances that are hazardous, in fact, to people and the environment. And the only reason they have not been regulated as such is because of intense lobbying efforts by the coal industry and its allies.
A lot of these chemicals are simple elements, but when you find them at the levels that they exist in around coal ash ponds, then you're starting to talk about cancer, brain tumors, you're talking about birth defects, developmental problems, neurotoxicity.
began to look at legal options, cases that we could bring in court to protect communities and their citizens from these toxic leaking time bombs. In 2002, North Carolina enacted a public financing mechanism for judicial elections. This kept private money out of judicial elections.
The repeal of the public financing program in judicial elections in North Carolina creates a dangerous precedent for all, and it gives corporate polluters and other special interests the opportunity to elect the judges that they want. And this is important for us all. Everyone should care about this, because when you think about the fact that the state and the federal government have basically abdicated their responsibility to regulate these issues, the state courts are the last stopgap.
I think this is no longer a problem that's going to go under the radar. It has been exposed, and I am confident that we will ultimately, with the facts, win out and ensure that we have protected waterways.
And so this is something that we all should care about. If we're worried about the water we drink and the air we breathe, we have to be concerned about money in judicial elections.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Bernie had a good night. Hillary had a great night. And the Democratic Party, a fabulous night. What do you say? Hello, everybody. The morning after, Wednesday, October 14. So good to see you today. The Bill Press Show. Here we are in our nation's capital, and there you are all across this great land of ours, wherever you are. We're here with you this morning on your local radio station. We're here with you on Free Speech TV, and we're here with you on your electronic device on TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. Thanks for joining us. So who won, who lost, and does it make any difference moving ahead in this Democratic primary? That's what we want to know from you. So give us a call at 866-55-PRESS, our toll-free number. Send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show or on Facebook at facebook.com/The Bill Press Show. Well, we weren't the only ones watching the debate last night. All of our reporter friends were, including Zeke Miller, who is the covers politics and all this 2016 campaign for Time Magazine. Zeke, I'm surprised you're not on the road, but it's good to have you in town. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. You know, it's a bad idea to go to Vegas and then have to cover debate. I mean, all bad things happen in Vegas.
Yep.
You know? It's like the blackjack table. You know, you never know what's going to happen.
I don't know. I read this morning somewhere that I mentioned earlier, one of the Clinton big donors who was there walking into the debate was overheard telling a friend that he just won $25,000 on the craps table before he walked into the debate.
Hey, it's good luck. I mean, and now we can donate all that to the campaign. See, that's why they did it in Vegas.
Yeah, it all makes sense now. I will say for these people who have to get up and do early TV hits from Vegas, which there are plenty of them out there, if you have to do a 3 a.m. hit from anywhere,
a casino's not a bad place to do that.
Vegas isn't
Exactly.
bad. Vegas is a pretty decent location for
The
that.
question is, what are they drinking right now? That's
You
the
know you
question.
will not
Drink
be the only
coffee.
person up that early.
Yeah, exactly.
And just walk through the casinos. Peter Ogburn and Jamie Benson here on the job, as
Hey, hey.
always.
Here we are.
With Ray Rogers ready to take your calls, and Cyprian Bolding, our videographer, on the job as well. And but let's really start with the big news. The big news happened in Chicago last night. Here we go.
And the 0-2. Swing and a miss. Cubs win. Cubs win. Cubs win. Breaking ball got him. The Cubs with a massive celebration right near home plate. The Cubs are in the National League Championship Series.
Listen to that crowd, and they did it at home.
That's the first time that Chicago Cub fan has ever seen the Cubs win a playoff series at home. They've only done it, like 3 other times? But that's the only time they've ever done it at home. And I started watching around the 5th inning yesterday, and Wrigley Field was about to explode. It was amazing.
I mean, but it just gets to the sad, sorry state of the Cubs organization, though, that like they are that excited.
Yes.
Over making the National League Championship.
Yeah.
I mean, like
they got a ways to go.
They've got a long ways to go.
Yeah. They got a really long way to go.
Well, so it's a sweet moment. Don't want to take it away from them. And all of our friends out at WCPT, and we're part of that big fan base. It's a great celebration.
I'm on the Cub bandwagon, I think, for the postseason. I'm officially on the Cub bandwagon. I know.
Mets fan.
I know.
Mets?
Yeah.
You're a Mets fan?
Yeah.
I'll say this. It pains me to say this, but I hope you beat the snot out of the Dodgers.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me started on Chase Utley right now.
Oh, man.
No, that's the one reason to be excited about.
We're
the
all
Mets.
Met fans.
Because of him, right? All right, 10 minutes after the hour, we'll get right into it with Zeke Miller, and then a little bit later, we'll be joined from Las Vegas by Niall Stanage from the Hill. He is out there, and he'd better be up. If you're not up yet, we'll get him up between now and then. But first, Peter.
This is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. David Bowie has not performed on the road in over 10 years, and his manager said earlier this week he's never going to tour again. Every now and then, David Bowie will do a little concert sort of on his home turf, but it's usually just a couple of songs, 1 or 2 songs. His manager, a man by the name of John Giddings, confirmed at a music festival in London, that David Bowie is just over touring. He's never going to do it again. We're not going to see him go out on a tour, which means we'll probably see him go out on a tour next year, right? I mean, it's inevitable that this is going to happen. But for now, David says no more. He's done.
Maybe he'll make another film. No.
I just watched Labyrinth, by the way, where he plays the bad guy. It still gives me nightmares. I'm telling you. You remember the name James Walter Palmer? Does that name ring a bell?
Maybe.
He is the dentist from Minnesota who killed Cecil the lion. Yes, indeed.
James. The James threw me. I never heard that. It's Walter Palmer.
Walter
right?
Palmer.
Yeah.
James Walter Palmer is the man's name. He's a dentist in Minnesota. He killed Cecil the lion a couple months ago. We remember the whole outcry here.
yeah.
Well, we found out on Monday that Zimbabwe officials are no longer pressuring anyone for extradition of Walter to come back to Zimbabwe to face any charges. They're letting the case just die, go away, no more. He's off the hook.
Yeah.
He did not have a comment, by the way, on the news.
I just hope everybody boycotts his business and, he has to file for
Let it work,
bankruptcy or
right?
something.
Yeah.
Something bad's got to happen to him.
Yeah. And I know you love Amtrak, Bill. Well, you love it after you hear this story. For now, pet owners are allowed to bring their pets onto Amtrak with them. Here's the criteria. Pets have to weigh 20 pounds or less, and they're allowed on trips that are under 7 hours. So this is the Northeast Regional, or the Downeaster, which is the one that goes Boston and Brunswick and Maine, and then the Northeast Regional is the one that goes from D.C. to New York and many other
They have
stops.
to be in crates, or
They have to be in crates.
Thankfully.
Although to be fair, the cats have to stay in crates. The dogs don't have to stay in crates the entire time. You can take them out on the stops if you want to let them move around a little bit because it's a long ride. This only goes until February. They're just testing out this program, by the way.
Well, I always go in the quiet car, so maybe I'm hopeful.
Are dogs allowed in the quiet car?
That's a good question.
Amtrak.
We demand an answer on this.
I need an answer on that. I would say no because they might whimper and all that stuff. Yeah, no.
I would imagine that's not.
We have some quiet trains then. Just get them all off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like also under 20 pounds. It's like the wrong pet to dogs. It's like
right. Exactly. Those little tiny yappy dogs. Yeah. Those are the ones that would be on. Yeah.
Would you take JJ, Bill?
JJ's the cat, the neighborhood cat. First of all, it's not my cat, so I'd have to ask the owner's permission. No, is the quick answer. No, I don't want a damn animal to have to take care of when I'm traveling. No.
Amtrak's painful enough as it is.
But
Weebay is over 20 pounds, my dog, so I couldn't take it.
But a French train.
But I wouldn't even if he wasn't.
A French trains, they have dogs, and big dogs.
Really?
Yeah. Well, any size dog. So
I think I'm anti this. I don't think I love this.
I don't want one sitting alongside of me.
No,
I'll tell you that.
Not a big fan of planes either.
No. All you got to do is sit next to someone who's got a cat in a crate. That'll ruin your whole week.
So you were either tweeting or watching or reporting or all of the above last night, Zeke, on the debate. What was your instant analysis and take?
I mean, I think the pretty clear thing was far and away that Hillary Clinton won. Bernie Sanders didn't do himself a whole lot of favors. Martin O'Malley didn't have that breakout moment, and the other two folks on stage, sort of everyone was left wondering what in the world are they doing there. And that was probably we all could have written that a little bit beforehand, and not that surprising. I mean, I think there was some nuance. Hillary Clinton really did make a play for that Democratic base. In the type of thing that could potentially come back and hurt her next fall. Kind of an interesting sort of sub-dynamic there. Bernie Sanders, his night wasn't as bad as many people are writing about it, in the sense that, his core of supporters aren't going away anytime soon. They love him. They're always going to love him. But he, running for president is more than just appealing to your own supporters. You have to appeal to some other ones in the party. The Democratic Party isn't, its progressive wing is big, but it's not the whole Democratic Party, and he didn't do a really good job of expanding that out. And then O'Malley, needed to catch fire, and he didn't do that, and nor did he, seem to indicate that he has the potential to do that.
Mm-hmm. Right. I thought that Hillary did better than I expected her to do, and I think because watching her campaign for the summer, I mean, it was not a very smooth performance.
It was a rough summer for her. So she came in, and she came out swinging too. Everyone's like, are people going to beat up on her emails? Are they going to beat up on the transparency, the honesty stuff? And she was the one who fired the first attack at Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, right. So clearly, I think the benefit of her experience showed. She's run for president before. She's been in countless presidential debates.
Yep.
The benefit of her debate prep showed. Obviously, she knew everything that might
everything
come,
that was
and
coming.
knew how to turn it around, which is a real skill in
Two
debates.
words: Ron Klain, the ultimate Democratic debate coach who did Obama, Biden confidant, who's now working, who's now been on Team Hillary for several months now. He's the best in the business at this. He's been doing it for decades,
right?
And that showed.
And there was barely a whisper about Benghazi, and yet she immediately turned that around to an attack, which I thought was a brilliant move and the right move on the House committee, which is the partisan political witch hunt. And, so
yeah,
and she was clearly ready for that. At the same time, I thought Bernie's lack of experience showed, and maybe lack of preparation showed, particularly in two issues: the guns. He had to be ready for the gun issue, and he wasn't.
And that's an obvious question. Even given recent events, even without recent events, this is the Democratic Party debate. Something that a number of those people on stage have been talking about. It was the obvious disagreement when you look at where Jim Webb was and where Martin O'Malley was. It was going to be a question no matter what happened.
Right.
And he just wasn't ready.
And she pounced on that. And the same thing I thought on Russia and Syria. Not that anybody knows what the answer is over there, but Bernie was a little vague.
He almost seemed to fall asleep at one point when Lincoln Chafee and Jim Webb were offering answers, and he was asked to follow up, and he was just,
But in his defense, everybody fell asleep, including Anderson Cooper, which is why he called on Bernie, because he needed a lifesaver. So, and Webb was droning on about the China Sea. Right now, I cannot tell you what Jim Webb was saying at that moment. I fell asleep. Everybody did. Anderson Cooper, when Webb finished talking, he just turned to Bernie and said, "Senator Sanders?"
Yeah.
And Bernie, what the?
Pardon?
Do you want to comment? Comment on what? And Webb had not attacked. He had not attacked Bernie, so there was no reason to go.
They do disagree on those issues. So there's clear disagreement. I mean, Sanders should have been able to. Part of the problem was that he was coming in there as, So, he said he wasn't a pacifist, but he's taken a lot of those sort of anti-interventionist positions over the years, and he had to, he needed to come prepared to talk about them, and he really didn't do that other than talk about Kosovo. And, Hillary Clinton's up there making a full-throated defense about something, about a policy that's happening today in the here and now, not something that happened 20 years ago. Right. And that was a little bit of of the problem for Sanders. It almost highlighted the fact that, in a way, they're roughly the same age, but he seemed to be the candidate of a different era in a lot of ways on that stage.
Your comments on who do you think performed well on which issues? 866-55-PRESS. Always welcome. Jump in the conversation. We all admit, I think, agree that the highlight of the evening and the clip we will probably see the most of over the next few weeks was when inevitably the issue of emails comes up, and Anderson Cooper thinks, man, we're going to have a real hot, tear them apart, blood on the floor a debate over emails. Bernie surprised us.
Let me say something that may not be great politics, but I think the secretary is right. And that is that the American people are sick and tired of hearing about your damn emails.
Thank you. Me too.
You had the great handshake, too.
Yeah.
And the handshake, right, yeah.
And Bernie was like, at one point he patted Jim Webb on the back and gave him like a little,
attaboy,
big grin. Yeah, right? Like Bernie just wants everybody to do well.
But that was the right thing to do in the emails, don't you think?
I mean, it was, he's like, it's bad politics. Like, it's okay politics. It's the type of thing that, the Democratic Party is kind of sick of the emails issue. At the same time, there's a real vulnerability there for Clinton on the general election, and there's a room for a Democrat to make the case against her on that.
Lincoln Chafee has tried.
Well, Lincoln Chafee tried, but the person who didn't try was Martin O'Malley, and the person who's made allusions to it on the stump in fundraising emails for months was Martin O'Malley, and he was the person who needed to go on the attack against Clinton and just time and time again refused to do it. So, for Sanders, it makes total sense to sort of rise above it. And I'm going to talk about the issues that matter to me. He's the issues candidate. For him to engage in that partisan attack would be very un-Bernie Sanders-like. Mm-hmm. For Martin O'Malley, that was sort of his ticket to, I'm a real serious candidate here.
Yeah. Why didn't he?
I think because he saw the answer that Bernie Sanders gave and the reaction. Then also, he wants to be the serious policy guy, but you can only be the serious policy guy when people want to listen to your serious policies. Right. And he needed people to listen to him. He needed the attention more in that moment than he needed to engage on the substance in a lot of ways. And then by the time it got around to Chafee, and he was like, that was a Hillary Clinton drops mic moment of just I'm just not gonna dignify that.
Would you like to answer Secretary Clinton? No.
Better things to do.
What a put down. That was such a perfect put down.
I'm going to take a shot right now.
Here we go with Zeke Miller. So where was Joe Biden, and what was the maybe impact of last night's debate on Joe's thinking and chances? 866-55-PRESS. Again, most importantly, what did you think about what you saw and heard last night? Join the conversation. We'll be right back.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
Eye cursor in between the R and the E. Pressing dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you come.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. You know, I followed your character since the first episode. I'm a big fan. Big fan.
Thank you.
And listen, your storyline, it makes for incredible TV drama. Thing is, your drug use is very adult content. Too adult for the kids. So I'm gonna have to block you.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, have a good one.
You're a nice lady.
Help keep all the presidential candidates straight with your progressive headquarters for the 2016 election. This is the Bill Press Show.
All right, 26 minutes after the hour, a post-debate analysis here on the Bill Press Show. On this Wednesday, October 14, with Zeke Miller from Time Magazine in studio with us. Zeke, let's jump down to Norwood, North Carolina. Hello, Sandy. Welcome.
Hi, Bill. About this Brady bill thing, I heard one of Bernie's speeches one time where he used the analogy, if you kill somebody with a baseball bat, you don't go after the manufacturer of the bat. And he was fighting against people being able to sue gun manufacturers for these criminal acts. So I think that was slipped into the Brady bill, and that's why he voted against it. It seems I saw it in one of his speeches or interviews one time. I don't remember when or where, but I'm sure we can do some research on that and find it. But that's the whole thing on why he voted against it. It's not that he's pro anything else. He goes along our list completely.
Right.
Background checks and close the loopholes and all assault riples and. Assault, all that stuff. He's for all that stuff.
Okay, you're right, Sam. Let me just jump into interest of time. But Zeke, I think when Bernie listed the things that he's for, I mean, There's not a lot of difference, but he didn't have a good answer for why he voted against the Brady bill. Now, Sandy mentions, but it didn't come across last night.
Exactly. I mean, that was a tactical failure on his part of just not being prepared, not being able to deliver on his message across on that. And in terms of that, in particular, you're dealing with, he said, if they're negligent, but like that's not the point of that bill.
Right. And, he has a D- from the NRA. So for Martin O'Malley to say he's been pandering to the NRA is hardly the truth. But again,
it's pretty easy to get an F from the NRA. Let's be clear. Right?
Bernie should have had a better answer, and he didn't.
This is the Bill Press Show.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. At highway speeds, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop the texts, stop the wrecks.
Before now, it's been difficult for criminals like us to know which states have loose gun laws. How would a criminal like me know which states permit me to carry loaded guns in their amusement parks, golf courses, or beaches?
I have some violent friends. We all wear leather jackets and scream at women. And we want to find out which states we can buy and sell guns easily.
CrimAdvisor.com. That's the site to find out where it's easiest for felons and fugitives to buy, carry, and even traffic guns.
That's why I love Arizona, where I can go see the beautiful Grand Canyon and carry a loaded gun without even having to get a background check.
You would fail that background check.
I'm sure of it. Now, what about a road trip? What states can I go to fill my trunk with guns and take it back home for my even more dangerous friends?
CrimAdvisor has a list for that.
That's so unreasonable.
Our traffickers' top 10.
Nevada. What happens in Vegas may have to stay in Vegas, but your guns don't. Bring them over to California and sell them.
The market up there is hungry for guns.
I understand that CrimAdvisor.com will tell me which states really cater to us criminals and creeps, but what about the states where we're not so welcome? The ones that don't get us?
I don't even like saying the name of these states, but California, Connecticut, Maryland, and New York all have laws to keep guns out of the hands of people like us.
I want to shoot California so bad.
Boo, California.
Boo, go home. Wow. CrimAdvisor.com has all this information?
Sure does.
CrimAdvisor.com. Plan your perfect getaway. Oh, like TripAdvisor.
Oh.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
President Obama, are you fracking kidding me?
Reopen the EPA studies. In Texas, Wyoming, and Pennsylvania.
Fracking pollutes our oceans.
Fracking poisons our water.
Fracking makes climate change worse.
Fracking relies on toxic chemicals that cause cancer.
Ban fracking now.
Ban fracking now.
Go on. Ban it.
Ban fracking now.
Please.
the most valuable morning radio show, according to The Nation magazine. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go now at 33 minutes after the hour on Wednesday, October 14. It is the morning after. Taking a look at last night's debate from every angle with Zeke Miller here in studio from Time Magazine, time.com, of course, as a friend of Bill for the entire hour. We're here. The rest of the team are here. And I'll tell you, for the city that never sleeps, this is a perfect place to have a debate because, you know, you watch the debate, you hit the tables, you get up and you do your interviews in the morning. So we don't feel guilty at all about Niall Stanage joining us from Las Vegas, associate editor of The Hill. We normally see him in studio here, but he's on the scene right from the craps table here to the Bill Press Show this morning. Hello, Niall. How are you?
Hi, Bill. Thank you for that introduction. I appreciate that.
You know, you guys were up all night after the debate. You know, why go to bed in Vegas, right?
Exactly.
It's hard.
Defeats the whole purpose of being in Vegas.
Exactly, right. You were there last night. You watched the whole scene. Give us your quick take, and then we'll have some other questions for you.
Well, my quick take was that it was a very good night for Hillary Clinton. I mean, obviously she has been under pressure for quite a long time between the email controversy and Bernie Sanders being pretty subtly completely closed in terms of what she went into the debate under threat.
Hey,
Niall.
Your phone's breaking up, dude.
Your phone is breaking up. Where you started out strong, but I don't know whether you moved around or not, but get near a window or whatever. Are you on a landline or a cell?
No.
Hello?
Well, let's get back to him in a second. Yeah, we'll put him on hold and see if we can get a better
We'll try to get a
connection.
better line. So let me ask you, Zeke, the question. I hope we can get a better line with Niall. Maybe, does he have a hotel with landlines? What if you're Joe Biden sitting at the vice presidential mansion last night watching the debate? What are you thinking?
Nothing good. Like between he's still debating, weighing whether or not to do this or not, and watching that debate last night, it's not really clear that there is a huge lane for him. I mean, yes, what we saw was largely the progressive wing of the Democratic Party being represented. The thing is, Joe Biden is largely a member of that wing, too. I mean, that's where he wants to be. Yes, he's in favor of TPP. He backs the president the president's foreign policy. But everyone on that stage was trying to sort of continue the president's policies into a third term, and that was essentially what that's essentially what a Joe Biden candidacy would be. The guns issue, Hillary Clinton did a pretty good job on there. Sort of taking away one of the clear Biden paths in. So whether he mistimed it or there was never an opportunity there to begin with. Certainly on the way out of that debate, it's a lot. It's really hard to see that sort of opening because there's no longer this sense of panic within the Democratic Party because Hillary Clinton reminded everyone that, she's pretty darn good at this.
Yeah, right. It seemed to me, first of all, and I've been encouraging to the extent that I have any influence at all, but I've been publicly encouraging him to run just because I think the more the merrier. And plus, I like Joe Biden. But his campaign was sort of premised on the fact that Hillary was failing, right, or slipping, and there was therefore there was a real opening for somebody stronger to come in and pick it up and become the nominee. We didn't see that in Hillary last night.
No,
he didn't see that in Hillary last night.
No,
he saw a pretty strong, impressive,
formidable, confident, aware of her vulnerabilities, and knew what her opponent's vulnerabilities were as well. Knew how to address, sort of buttress her own, and then sort of expose the flaws in the other candidates on stage. That was somebody on their game. That was not somebody who was in retreat, who was feeling the pressure. And those were all the things. Joe Biden was looking at the polls and seeing an opening. That opening probably won't be there for too much longer.
And she's got her stuff together. So maybe he waited too long.
If he got in a week ago, certainly it would have been a different story.
Mm-hmm.
There would have been some momentum behind that sort of candidacy. But to think that Hillary's performance would have been any different with Joe Biden on that stage. She's still very good at this, and it would have been maybe a little bit more collegial. Maybe there'd been a little bit more fireworks between the two of them, but she's still good at a debate. And had she delivered a strong debate performance, one way or the other, with Joe Biden in, with Joe Biden out, it probably would have still had the same thing. She's still the prohibitive favorite in this race, has always been. Probably will be until she says of the nomination next year. And Joe Biden getting on stage wasn't really going to change that. And getting in this race probably wasn't going to change that.
Now, he's a good debater as well. I mean, he showed that the last time. So he would have more than held his own last night. It's just that
he's not attuned where the base of the party is. He's been out of this game for a while. Hillary's had 3 years to sort of reacclimate to where the party is, and you see that in her positions coming out against TPP, coming out against Keystone, just sort of this more subtly sort of putting herself in that progressive camp. She knows what the party wants to hear, and she's been able to do it.
We think we might have fixed. It's a full service operation here. We even do telephone repairs. We think we might have gotten a better line here with Niall Stanage. Let's go back to Las Vegas. Say, Niall, are you there?
I've moved away from the roulette wheel, Bill, so maybe the reception will be better now.
You sound loud and clear. Very, very good. So you were saying a good, last thing we could understand, a good night for Hillary Clinton. Why don't you pick up there?
Yes, I thought so. I thought that she entered the debate under some pressure. She had been struggling, of course, with the email issue. While she still had a very substantial lead in national polls, Bernie Sanders had been coming on strong, notably in New Hampshire, but in Iowa as well. So she went in under some pressure and did very well, in my opinion.
It seems she did better than her campaign has done in dealing with some of these issues. To the extent, I guess, we can separate it from her campaign. But I thought, I thought people were expecting that they would destroy her on the flip-flop issue. You flipped on this, you flipped on that, you flipped on that. But she was ready with all of those, I thought.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, she sort of ducked and weaved pretty effectively on those right. issues, and on the flip flopping, she basically said, "Well, my values have been consistent, and I've absorbed new information," or some line like that. So she was clearly prepared for that line of attack, I think, and was pretty effective. And the other thing I would say, Bill, is that there was almost none of the defensiveness that has characterized her responses at news conferences and such like to the email question in particular.
Right, exactly. How did Bernie Sanders do?
I thought Bernie Sanders did fine. Bernie Sanders is Bernie Sanders. He's not going to be the most orthodox candidate in the world, but I thought that his main difficulty was that very early in the debate, the gun control issue came up. And that's one of the very few issues on which Hillary Clinton can plausibly position herself on his left. So that put him somewhat under pressure in the early stages. But beyond that, I thought he did well. I don't know if you have played for your listeners, Bill, the clip of him coming to Hillary Clinton's defense on the email issue. But I think that was, frankly, quite an effective moment for him as well as a helpful one for her.
We've only played that clip about 20 times this morning, I think, so far.
Excellent. Well, once you play it for the 21st, your listeners will have it lodged in their mind.
No, it was, we were just talking earlier, certainly the best line of the evening, I think. And it did, as soon as that was, with the applause after that line, everybody else just walked away from that issue. Right, Zeke?
Yeah, I mean, it was a gift. It sort of sealed the, it ended the discussion in the Democratic Party about Hillary Clinton's email issues. It's still an issue with independents. It's still an issue with Republicans, certainly, her testimony next week. But this gets more broadly to the Hillary Clinton strategy, and Bernie Sanders also espoused that. There are more Democrats in this country than there are Republicans in this country. There's a slice of independents in between. But by and large, if Democrats turn out their people in higher numbers, they're more likely to win general elections. And that was Hillary Clinton, sort of saying, last night what she most effectively did was, shore up support on the left, playing to that base turnout side of elections. She wasn't really playing to independent voters as much as, she made a couple of, I'm pragmatic nods. But more broadly, it was, I am the Democrats' Democrat, the progressive Democrats' Democrat, the Wall Street classes, Democrat, like whichever. If you were any type of Democrat, you saw Hillary Clinton that you liked last night. And if she can get them all in the polls, she'll probably do pretty well next year. Republicans have a different challenge. It's more about persuasion, and there are almost two different types of elections when you sort of even get to the mechanics of it. And that's sort of she really revealed a window into the way she views this race last night.
And Niall, what about Martin O'Malley? A lot of us thought that this was a sort of make or break time for him, that he had to really. This was his one chance to establish himself as a serious contender and to make it a 3-person race and not a 2-person race. Did he succeed?
Not in my opinion, Bill, to be perfectly frank. He didn't do disastrously, but he is doing pretty disastrously in the polls. Therefore, he needs something to change that dynamic completely. I didn't see a big moment. I thought his closing statement was quite effective, perhaps his most effective phase of the debate. But if I could very quickly just pick up on and agree with something that Zeke said.
Yeah.
To me, I thought that the Democratic Party, I think, would have to be pretty happy with what happened last night. There wasn't any great enmity between Sanders and Clinton. None of the other candidates didn't really attack in any kind of savage way. There was quite a lot of political and policy crunchiness, and it was a good night, I thought, for the Democratic Party in a way which it wasn't necessarily assured of being on the way in.
No, I think you're right. I do think the Democratic Party, and someone this morning, I read, maybe it was in the Hill, listed a lot of the issues that came up last night, which were never discussed during the Republican debate. A big contrast there. Well, now you're a good man and a good friend to get up this early for us this morning out in Las Vegas. We really appreciate it. We'll see you back here in the studio when you get back to Washington. Thanks,
My
Niall.
pleasure.
Niall Stanage from The Hill. TheHill.com. Zeke Miller with us from Time Magazine. We'll be right back and take your calls at 866-55-PRESS. Your chance to weigh in again on last night's debate. You Bernie supporters, you Hillary supporters, you Martin O'Malley. Are there any Lincoln Chafee supporters out there? We'll be right back.
Get social with Bill Press. Like us at Facebook.com/Bill Press Show. This is The Bill Press Show.
I grew up in the housing projects of Cleveland. I didn't even know that life could be any better than it was. Education for me has been a way to get away from the agony of what was normal life. I want to be able to impact the community, not just look back on where I came from, but to reach back to where I came from and pull some people up with me. My name is David, and I am your dividend.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To
not look the other way.
It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Hey, Free Speech TV world, it's Mama and the Mooks here at the Stephanie Miller Show.
Hello. Good morning.
You know, Seinfeld was about nothing. I think the Stephanie Miller Show is about everything.
A little bit everything.
Yeah, a little
It's
bit.
kind of everything like thrown into a blender and we hit frappe.
Right.
With wine poured in.
Right. Senators, fart jokes, politics, pop culture, entertainment.
Drinking.
Drinking. Random stray thoughts. It's what all the hip kids are talking about.
Yep.
We have the smartest, funniest people in the country on this show, do we not?
We absolutely do.
Right?
And our sexy liberal army of callers call in every day to tell us all about it.
There you go. And some right-wingers that Travis particularly enjoys talking to.
They're my favorites.
Okay. You can watch us every weekday from 9 to noon Eastern or 6 to 9 Pacific which is really early. But we still, we try to we're still pulling in people like Rob Reiner, Lily Tomlin, Frangela, you name it. You can only get it here at the Stephanie Miller Show. Mama, Mooks, fancy celebrities,
and everything,
and fart jokes.
Free Speech TV.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
Seen on Free Speech TV and online on TawkrTV. This is the Bill Press Show.
11 minutes before the top of the hour here, the Bill Press Show, Wednesday, October 14, with Zeke Miller from Time Magazine here in studio with us, and you out there in Radio Land and TV Land, talking about last night's debate. Politico did a little countdown on who got how much time. I always like the debate by the numbers, right? So Hillary Clinton ended up with 32 minutes and 10 seconds. It's pretty clear that Anderson Cooper was not going to interrupt her. I mean, he kept saying, "Thank you, Mr."
She's the front runner. Like the front runner deserves more time to get their message across.
But also, that's where the experience counts.
Yeah.
That she knows she can just keep talking. What is he going to do, right?
And she knows how to play that. I mean,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Like, and you saw like it took Jim Webb like 7 or 8 tries to realize he could just keep talking, and Anderson was like, "Oh, Anderson would keep talking," but try to interrupt him. As long as you keep talking over him, he's gonna be quiet.
So all Jim Webb did was whine, and then Anderson would whine back, and then, "Well, you agreed to the rules." I got tired of that. But anyhow, so Hillary Clinton had 32 minutes 10 seconds. Bernie Sanders 28 minutes and 2 seconds. It was really a debate between the two of them. Martin O'Malley, not surprising, in third place with 17 minutes and 5 seconds. Jim Webb, for all of his bitching and complaining, got almost as much time as Martin O'Malley did, 15 minutes, 27 seconds. It didn't seem like it, but he did. Yeah. And then Link Chafee.
Most of that was, Anderson.
Yeah, right. Link Chafee, 8 minutes and 8 seconds, right.
Like granite, that one.
Yeah.
Solid block of granite. Yeah, okay, man. Ooh.
That's how you're going to introduce yourself to the American people, like Stone. And it kind of showed. He was kind of boring. Like a block of granite.
They said they should just put an actual block of granite up there instead of Link Chafee for the next debate.
Because, he's probably not getting another invite.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't think so, right?
I don't think so, no. I don't think, we said they might as well have had Lawrence Lessig on stage last night as Lincoln Chafee.
That would have been more interesting. There's really no campaign finance debate. That would have.
You can't justify having Link Chafee up there and not Lawrence Lessig. I don't think.
It's like Lincoln Chafee actually gets to 1% in some polls, and Lessig doesn't. But in the grand scheme of things, 1% it's still within the margin of error of 0. So sure, why not?
Right. Were there any surprises for you where the candidates came out on the issues or didn't come out on the issues?
Not really. It was all pretty well telegraphed in advance. There's nothing.
The one where I thought that Hillary was amazingly, but this could be my personal bias is showing, where I thought she was amazingly retro and behind the curve was on the pot question. Maybe I just am all for the legalization of recreational marijuana, and I thought Bernie's answer was the right one. Yeah, he probably would vote for it. And she comes out and says, "Well, I'm for medical marijuana."
Well, that's that's still like a for most of mainstream America is still not fully there, or a recent evolution for most of America, and certainly from where Hillary Clinton was in 2007. I mean, she's moved a long way. She's coming out of the law and order wing of the Democratic Party. Her husband was elected out of the DLC, which is is all about the crime bill. In a way, has had to her evolution on drug policy and criminal justice policy is fascinating. We can talk about it for the whole hour, but for her to say medical marijuana is a significant evolution on her part, but for her to say full legalization everywhere, I mean, she wouldn't advocate it nationally because she wants to leave it up to the states. That's where federalism is your friend. But also, the vast majority of America still is, while they're for decriminalization, maybe they're not necessarily for legalization. And when you're eyeing the general election, you certainly don't want to make that policy pronouncement on a debate stage for the first time. You want to control it.
Right. It's just one place where I would rather see people lead rather than follow. But I mean, we are talking about people who are running for national office and so on. Yeah. No, I understand that. And the Snowden thing, I also thought where she and Bernie had a difference there. But I mean, Bernie was not saying just free him and let him off the hook.
They both pretty much agreed. She was just a little bit clearer on it. Mm-hmm. The difference between the Chafee one was sort of, just let him come back. I mean, Hillary Clinton could never say that as somebody,
and not even Bernie went that far either. And with that, we are out of time. Zeke, thank you so much for coming in. Very helpful, very good stuff, very good analysis. And you're back on the road soon, I guess.
I'm back this weekend. It's always a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, great to see you. I'll be back with a quick parting shot.
Like politics? Then like The Bill Press Show on Facebook. This is The Bill Press Show.
It is possible to read the history of this country as one long struggle to extend the liberties established in our Constitution to everyone in America. In other words, who, according to our laws and culture, gets to be considered a person? The law creates legal personhood, and movements create law and change culture. So, how have the courts passed laws to shape our culture? That history goes way back before Citizens United. 1819, Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Supreme Court case, turned a corporate charter from a government-granted charter to a contract. This ruling gave corporations standing within the Constitution. 1886, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. Though the court did not rule on corporate personhood, the decision was subsequently cited as a precedent to hold that a private corporation is entitled to the same 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection as human beings. This makes it impossible for us to make laws that treat local businesses any differently than giant multinational corporations, even if their business practices are deemed to be harmful to workers, the environment and communities, or if they have a history of violating the law. Hale versus Henkel, 1906. The court granted corporations the Fourth Amendment search and seizure protection. Dodge versus Ford Motor Company, 1919. The Michigan Supreme Court says the business corporation is organized and carried on primarily for the profit of the stockholders. Stockholder primacy is established. The purpose of the corporation, according to the court, is no longer to serve the public good, as it had been. It is now to maximize profit for shareholders above all else. Pennsylvania Coal Company versus Mahon, 1922. Corporations get the Fifth Amendment takings clause, meaning if you pass a regulation that impacts a corporation's ability to make a profit, that is deemed a taking, and they can sue for the right to future profits lost. This creates a chilling effect, and local and state governments become much more hesitant to pass laws in the public interest for fear that corporations can claim loss of potential profits that cities and states will be on the hook to pay. Buckley versus Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court rules that spending money to influence elections is protected under the First Amendment, in effect saying that money is speech. Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, 2010.
Today, the Supreme Court of Chief Justice John Roberts declared that because of the alchemy of its 19th century predecessors in deciding that corporations had all the rights of people, any restrictions on how these corporate beings spend their money on political advertising are unconstitutional.
The court's ruling threatens to undermine the integrity of elected institutions across the nation. It's a rejection of the common sense of the American people.
The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is the Bill Press Show.
Yep, I think you could sum it all up last night in 2 phrases. Bernie Sanders had a good night. Hillary Clinton had a great night. Hillary was the only candidate on stage to have run for president before, to have survived presidential debates before, and it showed. She was prepared, polished, poised, loose, and tough where she needed to be. Bernie was Bernie. He was gruff, no nonsense, but passionate and persuasive, brilliant at times, getting his 1-hour stump speech down to 90 seconds. Martin O'Malley tried hard but didn't make a difference, and Jim Webb and Link Chafee might just as well have stayed home. But the big winner was the Democratic Party, which, in contrast to that Republican bunch of clowns, showed that the Democratic Party has real candidates who have real solutions to real problems. Hey, that's my parting shot for today, folks.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tomorrow.